another community. Now, a lot of people in Max's community told him to leave Tay and not interact with him whatsoever, but if Max had any type of sense to him, I wouldn't have made this video.
Woke up, I looked at the computer said,
Just Jerry.
fuck T.I., fuck Nelly, fuck
Black Boy Max.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
Anyways, to make a long story short, Max has been vouching for Tay for months, but then it was exposed that not only has Tay been hating on Max for a while, not only did he have burner accounts to fuel that hate, but he also doesn't feel bad about it.
And I'm gonna stand on that shit. But what I will say, I apologize for what I needed to apologize to. The burners, saying the shit I said, not coming to you, not coming to my friends. I apologize for that shit. But I'm not gonna apologize for what I said. So if you want me to get on my knees and beg for some shit like that, nigga, I'm not doing that. I'm cool off that. It's all good. You feel me? So at the end of the day, like you said, nigga, we men. You don't have to accept me as your friend, even though we both. I don't know if you have the best regards for me, but you feel me? I have the best regards for you, nigga. I hope you go. You feel me? You kill shit. I'm gonna listen to the Five Forever. You feel me? I'm gonna leave my profile picture pink because I still with you. But it's like, bro, I fucked up. Sure. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And he did all of this because Max made him look like a loser. Like he didn't say this to Mari.
Mari, while you talking, ho, you need to know your place. I might pull up to your crib and bust a nut right in your face. And you got like 30K, but that shit came from Dante. Don't be acting like you grinding, bitch, you took the easy way.
Or Connie.
No problem. Do I need to break this shit down and fucking for your dumb ass? That fat ass nose, them ugly ass lips. Everybody know you fucking insecure about your face, dirty ass bitch. Like, who the fuck you think you talking to?
Or women in general.
Trying to sneak a picture of Senna and Sunny, and Valkyrie's resurfacing after he got cut off.
Someone else wanted to pay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Max did nothing but give Tay support, and instead of being a good friend, he tried his best to hog up all the benefits of being around Max instead of with Max. But speaking of hog, Bruce dropped him off. Bruce is actually the next person in regards to this conversation. If you don't know who Bruce is one of the most popular and influential streamers of our time. Starting his online career 10 years ago, he didn't really break mainstream success until he linked up on stream with Rage and Kai and created Boys Night.
Please! Please! No!
Boys Night was truly a product of its time. Nothing but boys being boys, and it was great. Funny moments, memes, you just had to be there.
Okay, Bruce.
But like Tay, Bruce was exposed for doing the same exact thing, talking shit about his circle to other people to help stroke his fragile ego. Just going off of my memory, I think Bruce said something about Kai going to Japan before him, something about Yachty, Kai and Rage are fake, locker room talk. But it's not that simple. In both cases, both streamers were in good positions. Bruce at that time was part of a legendary stream collab, and Tay, after multiple cancellations, found a home within. But with Tay feeling envious about Max and Bruce feeling envious and or prideful around Rage and Kai, both behaviors seem to be so left field from an outside point of view. I don't know any of these people, so me defending them is pointless. And the same goes for you. But as far as friendships go, it seemed good on surface. Max may be a dumbass, but he's always had good intentions and good people around. So if him vouching for Tay, a certified dipshit, into a community where no one wants him is not only a slap to just Max, but pretty much all of 5-star. Bruce is known for being very prideful, so no one was surprised about the content of his messages. However, the timing and revelation of the messages was the surprise. Bruce talking down on Kai and Rage, two of the most positive people on the platform, it just rubbed people off the wrong way. In a dog-eat-dog world like content creation, finding two people who want to see you succeed and grow alongside them, you should cherish them naturally. Obviously, if it's not natural, you just don't like them, then just stand on business, tell them how it is. But if that doesn't apply, at least on their end, I don't know, just don't take their love and support for granted. With both of these streamers losing their friends, you can see numbers-wise and relevancy-wise that people will side with those who were disrespected. Bruce took his L to the chin, and it's not like he drastically fell off, but his content and community were never really the same since. But he's been on a streaming hiatus, but he's now bouncing back with his record label, Ballhog Records or something like that. Hopefully he'll be back on stream, but again, this is not hate. I'm just acknowledging the truth. Tay, on the other hand, he'll cry about it now, but those tears aren't fooling anyone. I would like to compare him to Orochimaru for his ability to escape online death, but nope, still Orochi. Overall, with content creation or any other industry where you'll make relations with other people, take those relationships and make it known if it's just business or genuine. But hey, what do I know? My life is stuck in second gear, but what do you think?
Oh, brother, this guy
Are friendships worth it in the online space? Was Bruce ever in the wrong?
Got room for one more?
Will I ever actually sit down and have a real conversation with Felipe in regards to, I don't know the answers, but maybe you do, so comment something. Or not. You got free will. And in conclusion, Knicks and 5.
He'll take it. He'll backpedal a three for the win. And
Oh my god!
If you've been a part of the streaming community in any capacity, there's a chance you've heard the word viewbotting. Viewbotting, a tactic used since the early days of streaming, involves artificially inflating a streamer's view count by adding fake viewers to boost visibility on platforms like Twitch, which we'll mainly talk about in this video. This practice helps streamers appear more popular and rank higher in their streaming category, making it easier for others to discover their content. Despite its potential benefits, viewbotting is a violation of Twitch's terms of service and can lead to a suspension or banning, and it's looked down on for obvious reasons. Nevertheless, many streamers continue to use this method without getting caught. But many do get caught, like the streamer by the name of Queen Gloria RP, who will go viral in March for accidentally showing the app she uses to viewbot, and after realizing her mistake, quickly restarts her stream in embarrassment.
I will be right back, guys. I'll just come back in a sec. Are you guys still here? Internet went out. No, I needed to do a little, my OBS was asking me to reset something and I needed to stop streaming.
Someone in the comments said, imagine having boobs and still having to viewbot, which is crazy, but he's not lying. Women basically live life on easy mode, and some folks are just down bad. Some internet detective pointed out how her ear got so red from her nervousness, which was a pretty good catch, I'm not gonna lie. Soon after, Gloria would get banned on Twitch, responding in a video saying this was her first and only time viewbotting, but the comments weren't buying it.
You can see for yourself that I had never, ever botted any stream of mine. For those 2 years that I've been streaming, always been pretty legit. Quick research showed me that actually botting wasn't that difficult. That tempted me. I managed to get caught the first time and only time I do it.
Now, within the past year or so, I would see clips and situations here and there relating to the topic of viewbotting, but this specific situation led me down a rabbit hole to see how viewbotting is affecting the current state of Twitch. There have been whispers through the years from streamers like Trainwrecks TV, who even before becoming a partial owner of Kick, has hinted at a good percentage of Twitch being infested with viewbots.
In the top 100, at least 90 out of 100 are not only blatantly viewbotting, but we're talking massively viewbotting. Because you can't tell at that point.
The number one botter is on Twitch. It's multiple people, actually, that are botting massively.
By massively, is this more than 20,000, 50,000?
I'd say minimum between 10 and 20,000 bots.
Now, I can't say for sure how credible this specific info is, especially coming from someone whose platform, Kick, is full of streamers who viewbot. What I can say is, where there's smoke, there's fire. In April of this year, Twitch did a massive permanent ban wave of partner streamers, many of whom have not gotten their accounts back since. A streamer by the name of Big X had a few things to say about this, as he was informed about the reasoning for these bans from his manager.
Wait. So they packed those up for botting their views?
Not all of them. There's a couple more. There's a couple more that I sent to my manager. Affiliate gone, partner gone. Bro, you are scamming a company.
That's what I'm about to say, bro.
Amazon.
Like
Do you know who Twitch is back? You know who pays you? Amazon.
That same month, a popular streamer named Clicks revealed that he was approached by an anonymous Twitch viewbotting company to add viewbots to his stream, which he declined. The viewbot issue has gotten so bad that you have streamers beefing with each other and putting allegations on people for viewbotting. About a month or so ago, XQC accused up-and-coming streamers associated with Kai Cenat like Rakai and Reggie of viewbotting, basically pointing to the quote-unquote unusual rate that their viewers were chatting, aka active chatters, which is not really the best evidence to base an accusation on, and I'll get into why later.
They're all viewbotters. I don't give a fuck saying anybody these days. I'm not probably. Imagine thinking that I'd play this racket where like I need those like collabs. I don't give a fuck. They're all viewbotters. So I don't care to say it. From a 1K Andy to 20K Andy overnight, like
accidentally showing the app she uses to ViewBot, and after realizing her mistake, quickly restarts her stream in embarrassment.
I will be right back, guys. I'll just
And still having to
little my for those 2 years that I've been
affecting the current state of Twitter.
Wait. So they packed those up for botting their views?
Not all of them. There's a couple more. There's a couple more that
bots to his stream, which he declined. The ViewBot issue has gotten so bad that you have streamers beefing with each other and putting allegations on people for ViewBotting. About a month or so ago, XQC accused up-and-coming streamers associated with Kai Cenat like Rakai and Reggie of ViewBotting, basically pointing to the quote-unquote unusual rate that their viewers were chatting, aka active chatters, which is not really the best evidence to base an accusation on, and I'll get into why later.
They're all ViewBotters. I don't give a fuck saying anybody these days. I'm not, bro. Imagine thinking that I play this racket where like I butters. I don't care to say it. From a 1K Andy to 20K Andy overnight, like bro, I mean, I've been here before, like, I'm not stupid.
Some people said that 60 to 100,000 people aren't tuning into a Reggie or Rakai stream, implying that they don't have that level of motion. I don't keep up with these two consistently, nor do I have a horse in this race, but Rakai and Reggie are closely associated with the biggest streamer on Twitch, Kai Cenat, and even does collabs with him all the time. It's normal for viewership to spill over. Just look at Streamer University, for example. Some streamers who had viral clips most likely saw significant growth, like the one female streamer who went viral for being bullied by another streamer, and now she has built a following off of that, even collaborating with Agent Zero. Associating yourself with Kai leaves a lot of room for growth. It's pretty simple. Another streamer who faced ViewBotting allegations recently was DDG, who has been going on a crazy run lately that I covered in a video about a month ago. The streamer accusing him is Low Tier God, whose whole argument is that there is no way that DDG could have as many subs as Kai Cenat, the biggest streamer on the platform.
If you think that this nigga got 70,000 authentic subs, you're out of your f***ing mind. You don't just do this shit randomly. Bro, somebody find me a clip from 2 months ago. Where was the sub count at? Nobody grows that fast on Twitch. 70,000, Kai averages 100,000. You gonna tell me this only what, some thousands under Kai? Bro, the shit's botted, my nigga.
DDG responded, roasting him and denying the allegations.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I don't care enough to bot no views, brother. My real passion is music. I just come on this motherfucker. I have fun.
You gonna tell me this only what, some thousands under Kai? Bro, the shit's botted.
You can't bot subs, you stupid. How can you bot subs? If that's the case, why the f don't you do it? Cause this is bad. You got 26 subs the whole time, bro. Cause you need that. I didn't need it. I had 43,000 before I touched base in Japan. And you talking about Kai, bro. Kai gifted damn near 5,000 subs. Speed gifted 5,000 subs. These my homies you trying to compare me to, bro. It's not the same. No one knows you, brother. You ain't got enough money.
One, I don't believe DDG is ViewBotting, and I'm not even a fan, so you can't pull that type of shit on me. Two, DDG had a 7-day streaming event collaborating with countless rappers and popular artists. Does this nigga live under a rock or something? There's no surefire way to detect if someone is ViewBotting or not. You just have to analyze things like engagement on other platforms like Instagram and Twitter. I won't use TikTok because there's so many cases of followers/viewers on TikTok not translating to other platforms. You can have 1 million followers on there and next to nobody is keeping up with you anywhere else. Like Jack Doherty, who has been caught ViewBotting on Twitch before.
Okay, Jack Doherty with the views. Look at robot views. Okay, let's see Stable Ronaldo. Whoa.
Bro had 7,000 viewers with a graveyard for a chat. You gonna tell me with a straight face that 7,000 people are sitting to watch a Jack Doherty stream in 2025, bro? Like, let's be real here. Another thing to look at is live chat engagement, like on polls, for example. Let's say a streamer has 1,000 viewers and only 100 or less of them are interacting with their poll. That could be a sign of someone ViewBotting. A good example of a normal ratio of viewers interacting with a poll is iShowSpeed's poll from his YouTube stream from God knows when. As you can see, he has over 300,000 viewers, with 200,000 of them voting on a poll that started 1 minute ago. Speed is so well known even outside of the internet that view botting wouldn't even make much sense. Another method people are now using to detect if someone is view botting are extensions like Twitch Enhancer, which separate viewers into categories. This method is flawed because the left number is the number that Twitch uses without the extension, and the right number are people connected to the chat, meaning about 300 people aren't connected to the chat. And this is just an example. This doesn't mean that these viewers are 100% view bots. Either they have the stream open without the chat open, or they're waiting on a specific screen without being logged in. This specific screenshot seems like a normal ratio for viewers on Twitch, as if you have enough viewers, your stream will get pushed to all types of people. As for the future, I often ask myself, will this ever really stop? Despite letting users report a streamer for quote-unquote viewership tampering, I'm still reluctant to believe that Twitch will actually do anything significant.
54-year-old woman, doesn't want to get in. I wanted somewhere that was happy and fun and new.
Need to run Windows on your Mac? Parallels Desktop makes it
It's like hard to imagine finding someone who is truly good for you. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's like someone who's actually meant for you.
That is a very interesting choice of words from somebody who, no joke, missed their child's first birthday party to sit in bed with Drake and have a podcast with him.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
I flew all the way here
you did. I really do appreciate
on my
that.
daughter's first birthday.
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
So one of the internet's favorite things to do is talk about deadbeat dads. I'm constantly seeing people talk about Anthony Edwards. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about Duke Dennis possibly having multiple children that he tries to hide. But for whatever reason, you don't really be hearing the same criticisms on the internet when it comes to girls, except for Bobby Altoff, who just might be the most well-documented deadbeat mom of all time. And rightfully so in my opinion, because Bobby Altoff gave up being a stay-at-home mom to her 2 children, making over $200,000 a year off TikTok.
I was making around like $250 to $300 a year. Yeah.
From brand
deals on TikTok.
Wow.
And
To be a used up street sweeper in LA where nobody wants her. So I'm not entirely sure how many people know this. Personally, I didn't before I started researching for this video, but Bobby has actually been pretty popular on the internet way before she had her podcast that everybody hates. Before she ever did her very first podcast, from what I can tell, Bobby was sitting at about 3 million followers on TikTok from making content about being a mom. But after doing that for about a year or two, I guess she decided it was a little bit too hard to come up with TikTok ideas by herself every single day. And after seeing how much money some people were making on their podcasts, she decided it would be easier to just start a podcast.
the way that my podcast started was I was like, 250 is great and all, but it's hard to come up with content with just me.
She must have taken a big old gulp out of her stupid bitch juice before she had that thought, but nonetheless, that's what she would do. Start a fucking podcast. And since, like I said, she already had a really large following on TikTok, it wouldn't take long for her to get her first guest on her podcast, Miranda Sings.
Well, so my first guest was Miranda Sings.
Now, if you don't know who that freaky looking motherfucker is, I would just keep it that way personally. You're genuinely blessed. But according to Bobby, her podcast was actually originally called something else. But after she would send the first episode to the team she was working with at the time, she would accidentally see an email thread of this company talking about what they thought about her podcast. And believe it or not, they thought it was complete dog shit.
I sent them in my pilot of it. Oh no. And then one day I was like, finally they watched it. I got an email and it was a thread that was sent between the company, not meant for me to see.
No.
And I was like, and they were like, this is so bad, this is horrible, this is not funny. I see what she's trying to do, but it's just not funny. And they just really, they're like, yeah, she should just stick to doing a regular podcast and stuff.
And instead of taking some of their criticisms, maybe trying to make her podcast a little bit better, she decided she would just change the name of the podcast to The Really Good Podcast while putting absolutely zero effort into any of the people that she's interviewing. And I'm not just saying that. This is something that she completely admits.
Sometimes I'll be like, can you guys give me a few pointers right before I walk in? And then that's what I have.
That's what you do.
It's just me. And it's like, I don't know, it's easier. And it makes money.
And I'd even go as far as to say she seems to be proud of it. But this is where the industry plant accusations start to come in. Because according to Bobby, she would start offering people on TikTok and Instagram $300 if they commented somebody that ended up being on her podcast.
So I had, if you comment a celebrity and that leads to them being on my show, I'll give you $300.
And very quickly, somebody would comment Funny Marco. And after posting that screenshot on her Instagram account, Funny Marco would respond fairly quickly, and he would be her second guest on her podcast.
Marco was the first one, I think. Somebody tagged him. That was the first time I saw him, and I was like, okay, if this comment leads to me getting him, then I'll give you $300. I posted a screenshot of that on my story, and I tagged him, and I remember thinking, there's no way he's gonna see this, because he has 5 million followers, I think, like 5 or 6 million followers. I was like, there's no way he's gonna see this. And he replied so quickly.
Although I think it's very likely she's leaving out some details about how she got Funny Marco on her podcast. I very highly doubt bro drove all the way out to where she lived at the time to be only the second guest on her very shitty podcast for free. She definitely paid bro, and it's not even a question. She's just not going to admit that because she wants to keep the illusion that people want to be on her podcast. When in reality, it's very likely that either Herb or the team that she's now working with is paying these people a lot of money to be on her podcast.
Why do you want to get to know me?
I didn't.
You did.
Your team reached out to mine.
Don't cap. Let's not cap about that. That's not flex for the gram. Uh-oh.
And she would basically confirm that when she would claim that Drake saw the clips of her and Funny Marco and reached out to her himself to be on her podcast.
From there, I believe that Drake saw the clips of that one.
Like, come on, bro. You're fucking lying and we all know it. Drake was not sitting at home randomly coming across clips of fucking Bobby Altoff and thinking, damn, this the podcast I need to get on right now. But this is where shit gets weird, because Bobby would drop everything she had going on to fly out to Drake's house to have a podcast with him in his bed under the blankets. And I mean, she dropped everything, because not only did she have a husband while sitting in bed with Drake, but she actually skipped one of her kids' first birthday parties to be in bed with Drake.
I'm just saying, like, you know.
I flew all the way here
You did. I really do appreciate
on my
that.
daughter's first birthday.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
You missed your daughter's first birthday for
To
this.
be here.
Dark.
What a pathetic excuse of a parent. Thankfully, Drake would give her some honesty really quick and tell her just how terrible of a parent she really is.
Regret that you'll never be able to undo.
Yeah.
Horrible parenting.
And you can tell this kind of hurt her feelings, because right after that, she would ask Drake where his son is.
Where's your son?
Somewhere safe, and it's not his birthday.
When's his birthday?
What does it matter? It ain't today, honey.
Don't call me honey.
So.
I came here on my daughter's birthday because I thought I could get some good answers out of you.
Like, bitch, how is that fucking relevant right now? How in the hell is that relevant to the fact that you skipped your daughter's first birthday party? And honestly, Drake's response to this was pretty chill. Personally, I would have had to hit her with a 619 just to show her how stupid of a fucking question that was. And honestly, during this entire interview, Bobby was asking some pretty inappropriate questions for someone who has a husband and 2 kids waiting for them at home. At some point during the interview, Bobby would ask Drake if she was his type.
Am I your type?
I'd do it.
Thank you.
I'd do it.
Which is already a weird question to be asking somebody, but super fucking weird when, again, you're married. But then when Drake said, I do it, in a very unexcited tone, you can see on her face, she genuinely felt some type of way about that.
There's you
Not an it.
I know, I just felt like
You do it. I asked, am I your type? And you said, I do it.
But honestly, Bobby was acting like this throughout the entire podcast. Right before she asked Drake if she was his type, she would also ask him to say, Bobby, do you love me? Instead of Kiki, when Drake performs that song next.
Nah.
How about I will come to one of your shows if instead of saying Kiki, do you love me, you'll say Bobby, do you love me?
It was extremely obvious that Bobby was trying to take a ride on that Drake roller coaster, despite, again, like I've said a million times, having 2 kids and a husband waiting at home for her. But one of the weirdest things I noticed about this interview is that all of this was taking place at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
What time is it, Bobby? This
It's
is
time-
insane.
Don't do that.
I'm just checking. It's
I don't know.
3:30 in the morning. This is great. Can I have another drink?
Like what? So let me get this straight. You skip your daughter's first birthday party to fly out to Drake's house, sit with him in bed under the covers at 3 o'clock in the morning for an interview, but the interview mostly consists of really weird questions like, am I your type? Yeah, we can go ahead and chalk it up right here. Bobby is a hoe faux show. No questions. And unsurprisingly, almost immediately after that interview was published on her YouTube channel, Bobby's husband would file for divorce. I know bro was probably sitting at home absolutely flabbergasted as to what his wife was saying to Drake during her interview. But this is where things would get really weird, because only a month after that interview, Bobbi Althoff would actually post a clip of her standing at Drake's concert with her arms crossed with a really smug look on her face. And at first, this just seemed like a way to get people talking, because the Drake interview had absolutely blown up at this point, sitting at around 10 million views after only 1 month of it being uploaded. But only a few days after that TikTok was uploaded, Bobbi or the team she works with, I don't really know who did it, but that interview would be completely deleted off the platform. And to this day, a year and a half later, Bobbi has never said why she did that. In fact, she basically refuses to even talk about Drake. But during her interview with Wired magazine, the interviewer would actually ask Bobbi about the Drake incident.
The incident with Drake. There was like, well, you know.
No.
Okay. Well, what I know is you did an interview with Drake, you were in bed. Ha ha, laughs, everyone laughing.
And you can tell by Bobbi's face, she feels extremely awkward about the question. And I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind, they fucked. They absolutely fucked. And this was just the start of Bobbi's whole venture. Not too long after all of this happened, there would be a video of Bobbi like holding on to Funny Marco while they were walking around backstage at some place. Both of them having their arms wrapped all the way around each other, and Bobbi like putting her head on Funny Marco. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but it's very obvious what it looks like. And not too long after this, there would start to be rumors going around that Bobbi was actually sleeping with the majority of her guests. Now, I have absolutely no idea if that's true. Obviously, Bobbi's not just gonna come out and be like, hell yeah, I'm fucking all of them, but I can totally see why people think that. And honestly, I kind of think that as well. And Bobbi would actually eventually respond to these rumors. So somebody would actually reply to her story and say, damn, get a divorce, choosing fame over your now ex-husband just to get passed around by different guys weekly. And Bobbi would post this on her Snapchat story and say, I never respond to this comment that I've been getting a million times a day for the last year, but I really am sick of seeing it. Anyone who says stuff like this is so fucking ignorant. You don't know why my marriage ended, that we are both so much happier apart than we were together. Now our kids get to see 2 happy parents instead of 0. I have never slept with someone I interviewed. I don't sleep around, and I rarely ever go out. But you guys can't fucking believe that a woman can be around men without sleeping with them. It's so frustrating that I can't post a single thing without comments about how I'm being passed around. Go live the lives you deserve and shut the fuck up. And just because you don't see my kids doesn't mean I don't. You see what I allow you to see. I mean, shit, for somebody who never goes out, there's a pretty good amount of pictures and videos of you going out, including a video of you getting carried out of the bar drunk as fuck by some dude. So I'm not saying she's a liar, but the signs are there to say the least. And a few months later, she would post some blurred out videos of her hugging and kissing some guy with the song that sings, I never found love until I met you, or whatever it says, which is absolutely crazy because she was just married like a year before this. And very quickly, people started speculating that this was an NFL player that goes by the name of Sean Murphy Bunting. But almost immediately, bro would actually deny it being him, responding to one of the tweets about it, straight up saying, that's not me, even though there had already been leaked photos of them together and the entire internet had already confirmed it was absolutely him, no question. It's very obvious he was just using her for a piece of ass, because as soon as she made this shit public, bro dipped and wanted absolutely nothing to do with that. And she has absolutely nobody to blame but herself. NFL players, for one, are known for doing this. And I don't know if Bobbi realizes this, but she's like 27, 28 years old, almost 30, with 2 children and a recently divorced husband. husband. Why would someone with already millions of dollars, likely richer than Bobby at this point, because those second NFL contracts go absolutely crazy, why would someone with so much going for themselves want to drop down to your level and then become a stepdad for 2 children? Like, it literally doesn't even make sense. It's almost like Bobby shouldn't have went into Drake's bed at 3 o'clock in the morning asking him weird sexual questions while she had a husband. And I get it, I guess her and her husband didn't get along. None of us were there, so we really don't know. But it probably still wasn't a very good idea to make yourself look like a desperate meat muncher for hundreds of millions of people to see, still thinking that someone was gonna happily claim that. And after Sean Murphy Bunting would deny her, that's when she would post those videos of her crying for the camera.
Just like hard to imagine finding someone who is truly good for you. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's like someone who's actually meant for you.
And I got lonely. Met a guy around Thanksgiving. And I think things moved really fast. I don't know. I thought it was fucking fate. Clearly it wasn't. It was really sweet. It raised the bar for me, which sometimes sucks because then it's like, fuck. I didn't want the bar to be raised at all. Dating is just hard, you guys.
And I know this is gonna sound crazy. I need you to sit down while I say this to you. Bobby Altoff is 27 years old. She's already been married once. She has 2 children. Maybe, just maybe, instead of focusing on getting some dick, she should focus on her fucking children. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but I think a lot of people don't realize when they have children, that is now your life. You need to focus solely on your children. And now these kids are gonna grow up, see all of these clips, see the fact that their mom flew out to see Drake lay in his bed with him to miss one of their first birthday parties while she was still with their father. It's not even just about her spending time with her children. For all we know, she's doing that all the time. It's the fact that she's now leaving a digital footprint that is still gonna be there when her children grow up. There's also this clip of Bobby walking around the hood of Compton.
Bobby and Bumpton with the members. What's bracket? You gotta say what's bracket. Hey, y'all gonna scare her away, blood. Y'all gonna scare her away.
And although it does look like she's with YG, who is somebody that she interviewed, so it totally makes sense, it just reminds me so much of that video of Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez buying drugs in the hood of LA, looking so fucking out of place.
Hey, can you just say hi to your fans, though? I don't want you to do that. No? All right. Hey, I got Justin Bieber here at the Swami, though. Right here in my hood, homie. MS gang. Nice seeing you, bro. Have a good one. Have a good one, G. That's Justin Bieber for you guys. He's in Hollywood. The worst part of it, too. That's really Bieber. Hey, Bieber, I fuck with you. Nah, not really, homie, but you famous, nigga.
But I guess Bobby and her team decided instead of denying all the allegations of Bobby being a meat goblin, they would just lean into him. And recently she would post a picture on her Instagram of another guy with his arm around her and her looking extremely excited with the caption saying, "Podcast returning on May 15th. She would also promote her podcast by walking around a beach in LA with the really good podcast stamped right on her ass. It actually looks like that's the beach from GTA 5. I'm not entirely sure. I've never been to California, even though I only live 2 states away. I'm gonna take a trip one day though, I promise. It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid, probably around the time that I hit 100,000 subscribers, as a little celebration, because I actually do have some homies that live in San Diego. And the last thing that Bobby would do to get everybody's attention on the new season of her podcast is stand in front of a basketball game while a bunch of dudes are just trying to play basketball in her bikini, holding up a free advice sign. And all of the dudes ignored her, as they fucking should. And for the most part, that's where the updates on Bobby Aldoff would end. If you were to take anything out of this story, it would simply be watch who you marry, because the last thing you want to do is marry somebody like Bobby. Now personally, I don't believe in marriage. I know that's gonna sound crazy, but I think it's a scam. I think if you truly love somebody, you can get married without actually getting married to the government, because as soon as you do, you immediately owe more in taxes. If they divorce you first, they can take all your money. In my opinion, it creates unnecessary pressures on a relationship. And I don't know the exact number, but I know in today's world, over 50% of marriages end in divorce. odds. And I don't know about you, but I don't like those odds personally. With all that being said though, boys, that right there is where I'm going to end the video. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to drop a like on it and let me know what you think of Bobby and her podcast in the comment section. The support on the channel the last couple of days has been absolutely insane. I've gained like 2,000 subs just in the past 4 days. So thank you all so much for that. Every single time somebody watches the video, likes the video, leaves a comment, drops a sub on the channel, you are literally making my childhood dream become closer and closer to reality. So I'm so grateful for all of you. New content will be coming soon. I've already kind of picked up my upload schedule, but I plan on doing it even more in the next coming weeks. We gotta make this final push to 100K because I feel it coming soon. I really do. Keep in mind, because of how long it takes to make these kinds of videos, every like 3 or 4 days is probably the max I'm gonna be able to upload without going absolutely insane. But that being said, I have a ton of ideas for my second channel, and I know I've been saying that for a while, but the main channel has been doing so good, I've been having a hard time pulling myself away. That being said, I do have a ton of ideas, like I said, for the second channel, and after I'm done with this video and it's ready to upload, I'm gonna get straight going on those ones, and I'm gonna try to have at least one video out a week on the main and on the second channel. The reason I decided to make a second channel is because there's so much content that I really want to make, but I made content for so long with YouTube not showing it to anybody. And to be completely honest with you guys, I'm a little bit nervous to branch out too far from what I know works over here on the main. But I know there's a lot of people that just want me to make more content, and I want to do that too. So that's what the second channel is for, and I definitely plan on getting that shit going right after this video. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much again for all the support on the channel. The past couple of days to the past week have been absolutely insane, and if we can keep this momentum going, 100K is gonna be seen very soon. So thank you guys for everything. I love each and every single one of you, and I will see you in the next one.
Solve all your document problems with a comprehensive online solution. Meet PDF Filler, an end-to-end
where he rented out a real college campus, picked, from what I know, about 100 streamers out of millions of applicants, and flew all of them out to this college campus, where for 3 whole days, they get to learn how to be streamers from some of the biggest streamers in the game right now, like Agent 00 and I'm Dante. And of course, they get to stream the entire thing and get a bunch of free content out of it.
No! I can't take it off, bro. Please. Come on down.
And although the idea of Streamer University was absolutely insane and honestly really cool, outside of a few good moments, it ended up being a complete disaster. It got so bad that Kai Cenat has already admitted he's not sure if he will ever do this again.
We're going to do a section called Bring Your Streamer to Work Day, where I interview chatters about their jobs, their unique and interesting and funny job experiences. If you have a job you'd like to talk about with chat, now's the time to do it. Lifeguard, comic illustrator, game dev, blackjack dealer. That's kind of funny.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yo, I can hear you fine. Okay, so I got a couple questions. When I think of blackjack dealer, the number one thing I think of is people getting mad at you when the cards don't go their way.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Like, what is your experience with people?
That's actually like why I left the job.
Okay, so you quit.
Yeah, I quit.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
It depends on like who the person is, who's like the dealer. If you're like a really good like personality or whatever on the freaking blackjack table, you can like make people laugh even if they're losing and they like won't get that mad.
Okay.
To be honest, I was kind of bad at that, and I also just got so fed up. I just fucking lost my mind at gamblers because they're so stupid. They're like.
Oh no.
I would just deal as fast as possible because like the faster you deal, the faster people lose money. And so like.
You're a fucking cooler. You're trying to. Okay. All right.
Yeah, actually, there was one time where, like, because eventually over time I became the fastest dealer in the casino, but before there's like this older woman.
Yeah.
And I was dealing at our like quote unquote high rollers table. This guy like had already won like a few $1,000s from us.
Okay.
And I was taken off the table early, and I didn't know why. And then when I was on my break, I asked them. And they were like, oh yeah, because we put this other dealer on because she's our fastest dealer, so she can possibly win us back more money from him.
More money out of them.
And then I became the fast dealer, so they started doing that with me. They would put me on tables where like people were winning, which is like I didn't know that that's an actual thing until then.
That's so funny. You
But,
are actually the cooler.
That was what made people like really hate me, because like they kind of the regulars like
Yeah, they
knew
can
at
tell
that
you're the one where they lose the most money.
Yeah. What
Okay.
ended up happening that like made me quit was there's this one guy who I was like beating the whole table, and he was like, "Oh, what car is yours outside?" And I was like, "You can't say that. Like that's like I could tell he wasn't like actually like gonna do anything, but I was like trying to be like, hey, you can't say that. That's like that's a threat.
It's a line that's
blah, blah."
crossed. Okay, but how did you? Because I think part of being a dealer, like you mentioned, is like keeping even temperature or even emotions when the customers are getting either super depressed or super excited. But how do you respond when the guy's like, you know, let's say they split aces and double down or something, and they got a ton of money riding on, and they're screaming and begging for it, and then you stone face lose the money. How do you?
I was just stone faced the whole time. I like did not show any emotion. I did not care if people lost money. I didn't.
I would actually hate you. I would actually hate you playing blackjack. Dude, I hate when the dealer shows up, they're stone faced and they deal fast, because then I just fucking bleed out. I like to chat with them.
I can't think of like any specific moments, but it's like there'd be times where I'd have conversations with people and it was cool, but most of the time I just didn't say anything.
Okay, sometimes when I'm playing blackjack in Vegas and I am drunk, let's say I've had a couple drinks, and I don't remember what the right math move is. Like, do I hit here or do I? And I just ask the dealer, is that annoying as hell, or are they fine with it? Like, where would you stand? People ask you questions on what to do.
We were all at our casino like 100% fine telling people what the like best move was. We had cards that like you could ask for.
Yeah.
We had a card that had all the best moves for every single situation. And so like it
But
never
it's
was
annoying, right?
No, that was actually the least annoying part.
Okay.
Of, like,
What's the
like,
most annoying? What's the most annoying, other than threatening your bodily harm, I guess?
players getting mad at other players for not making the correct move.
Oh yeah, that is such an annoying thing to do, dude. Slime does that. If you don't make the right hit or whatever, Slime will scream at you, and it's like, bro, it's it's all random. At least you learned good shuffling techniques. That's always good at events and parties.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Private investigator? That sounds interesting. When I hear private investigator, I feel like somebody's wife is hiring you to see if their husband is cheating. And you're like taking photos of him like sneaking into a hotel room or something. Is that what you're doing, or is that?
No. So I mostly work in corporate investigations.
A corporate investigation? Wait, tell me more about that. What? Who's hiring you? Like companies?
Yeah.
But to investigate other companies?
No, mostly internal. My biggest thing that I do is when a company fires someone and they suspect that they took IP.
Yeah.
Or they're doing some sort of, stealing stuff from the company and they're bringing it to a new employer. So I'm the guy they call to make sure that they know who to sue if something happens.
Is that? I mean, you don't have to tell me everything, but is that legal? Can they hire a private investigator on their own employee to like are you going through their trash and stuff? Or
So, it's generally part of like your employment contract.
Okay.
Like here's the rights, like here's your privacy rights, here's what you're giving up. I'm not a cop, I can't get a warrant. Like I'm not gonna go look at your personal stuff, but anything you do on your work computer most of the time, I can look at. Anything that goes through your work email, your work Slack, your physical desk if you had one. Anything like that is fair game.
In 2025, I feel like this job is mostly technical. Like, are you mostly a tech guy? Is it like mostly like looking into their files and?
I'm remote 90% of the time.
Okay, well, here's a question I have for you then. So without revealing any names or companies, but have you ever caught somebody like the company was suspicious and they were right?
I'd say like most of the time. So I'm a freelancer. Like I get just hired out like by whoever.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if it gets to the point where you're hiring an external person, it's not because you just have a suspicion. It's because you want like proof.
I see.
Like you don't pay for someone to come in, especially an outsider, unless you're like, I kind of know what happened. And to be fair, a lot of the times it's like we're just hiring you so we have someone who isn't internal to like rubber stamp firing or suing someone. Like, we know what happened. We just don't want it to come from the inside.
So wait, so basically, they're a corporation. They've already caught someone. They have all the data. They just hand it to you and you go, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks bad if it goes from the inside.
Thank you for sharing this job. It's very interesting. I'd never even thought about this as a way to make money. That's funny.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Traveling welder, premium audio sales, digital banking manager, NASA cybersecurity operations. Wait, there's so many. Dude, high school English teacher. You spelled it high shul. I gotta click it.
Listen.
Jordan, high shul.
No, I'll take the L.
That's funny. Hey, welcome to the stream. No, good to have you. High school English, you would be assigned a book like The Great Gatsby or something, and you would read it the class would all read it over the course of weeks and then do assignments on it. That was like the general idea.
Yeah.
So, but I've heard that is changed and you are no longer assigning full books. Is that the case?
But for the first 4 years, I did one book each year.
Yeah.
And worked relatively well, but the biggest problem, and this has just gotten more and more exaggerated with every passing year, the skill gap of your highest students and your lowest students in the class. And there's always going to be outliers, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But when you have like 35 or 40 kids and 10 of them are 5 grade levels lower than the middle level, and then you have another that are 3 or 4 grade levels above everyone else, it's really hard to do any sort of assigned reading more than just a couple articles.
Can you give me the whole arc of ChatGPT, like since it came in, to how you guys are reacting now? I would love to know.
At first, it was a little more obvious. It was just not quite as fluid with how it writes, and the kids really didn't know how to manipulate it. So they're starting to get a little better in regard to adding something along the lines of like, write this like a 9th grader or write this for an English class. So ChatGPT throws in words that this person would know. Because I would get papers, I'm like, listen, you can't hold a discussion without saying like is every 3rd word, and you're giving me papers with 20 syllable words in it. Like, you know you didn't write.
Wow, dude.
Some of those were a bit more on the obvious
You've got
side.
a young Shakespeare and you're shitting on his dreams because he's writing incredibly. Yeah, he's a little shy. He's not speaking up, but he's writing perfectly, and you're shutting down his dream.
You know, you're absolutely right. That is on me.
Okay, so previously it was very obvious, and now they're finding more advanced ways to use it that are harder to detect. But you're
Correct.
still pretty aware they're not writing it.
Yeah. So as a teacher, later in the term specifically, you really do pick up on, this isn't you. And even from paper to paper, because ChatGPT is not going to have the same personality that the same person would from paper to paper.
Right.
Or assignment to assignment. They're not lengthy papers every time.
Okay, but at the end of the day, you still have to do some sort of writing or test or assignments to measure their skill. And if some kids are ChatGPTing everything, are you calling parents? Are you talking to the kids? Are you ignoring it? Like, how do you deal with the fact that this is happening? I guess I just want to get a better...
I mean, similarly to plagiarism, in all honesty, when a kid cheats across the board, whether it's I copied someone else, had someone write it for me, whatever the case may be, it's a very subjective thing. I try to talk to the kids first to find out the why did you use ChatGPT on this, tackling that first. If it was, well, I just didn't feel like doing it, okay, well, we gotta have a discussion about that. If it's, I really didn't have the time, but I couldn't afford the zero, and this is the first time you've done anything like this all term, there's some leniency in that regard. But in the end, it's just if I have a kid submit a ChatGPT paper and I talk to them about it and they're just kind of whatever, I don't give a shit, well, then all right, you're getting a zero because you didn't write this, you owned up to it. It really is not much different than plagiarism.
Right.
Have your computer write for you versus I'm just copied someone else or stole a paper from online.
That's interesting. I'd say the one difference is that how easy it is to do. I feel like if you wanted to plagiarize back in the day, it's a complicated process or costs money or something. You know what I'm saying? But with ChatGPT, it's so tempting. Yeah.
The thing that really gripes me, and my big soapbox here, is the kids that are too lazy to even do that. I've had so many kids not submit an assignment that they could just copy and paste into ChatGPT. And when I'm like, bro, why didn't you turn this in? And they're like, well, I didn't even feel like that. I'm like, I just want.
Dude, there's almost something based about being too lazy to chat GPT. I'll take the 0. I'm not gonna let a machine take my paper. I'll just take the 0. I think your students sound very lucky to have you. I mean, it sounds like this is a situation that could easily be more depressing in your position, and that you have a positive outlook and are treating them with respect. It sounds really cool. The fact that you can't spell school is not a losing proposition for them. They're actually winning. Have you ever thought about making the kids watch Marketing Monday videos so that they can start learning early, and I could get a fan for life from an early age?
I will absolutely pass it down to the marketing department with English, unless you want to start talking about like language structures and how we use our mouth to speak and like what an adverb is. You know, we'll go from there. But...
Right. All right, we'll work on that. I'll do Adverb Tuesdays, and we'll see if that can make it in. Jordan, a pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much. Nuclear missile, Chili's cook. Fuck it. For the fans. Hello. Thank you for coming on. Listen, I am a huge fan of what you do. As well, I want to stop and chat. We'll salute for a second. You are doing a damn good thing here. Okay?
Thank you.
Feeding hungry people in a brilliant establishment like Chili's.
I have worked at this specific Chili's for 4 years.
Okay.
So I've just been locked down here.
You are locked down.
I'm locked in at the Chili's, man. It's bad. It's bad out here. But I've heard, because this is how I describe it to people. It's like people want the service of a sit-down restaurant at the speed of a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult when people are like, "Get me my food," and I'm like, because it's real food. We got like shipments and fresh meat and everything.
You're just getting so much more, and it tastes better for the price than McDonald's, which is essentially the same price. Like, it's essentially.
Yeah, dude.
What as a Chili's expert, you know, you've been there a long time, you've seen everything. What would you suggest is the good order? Let's say you're talking to someone in chat who's going to go to their first Chili's. What should they get?
I mean, okay, I'm kind of going against myself here, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
But the triple dipper.
Okay.
Because so there's like 3 zones. I love them, but I hate making them. I realize how cost effective and good it is, because you know you get 3 things. Like, it's an insane deal.
Yeah.
But you know, I have to make them every time. So I see people order a triple, and I'm like, "Oh, you're smart."
Right. Okay. What do you get? Like, if you were ordering for yourself, what's your order of choice?
Way back when, I would just get like pastas or quesadillas. But since it's all like fresh ingredients, I can like mix and match. Like, one thing that I've done recently is the margarita chicken seasoning. I'll just get some of the margarita chicken and some of the rice and just eat that.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's all like raw, fresh ingredients, so I don't actually have to like, you know.
Bro, you sound like an ad, but you're not paid to do this. Like, you're actually just telling me what. I know that's fucking cool.
I do have to say, as one last thing.
Yeah.
The whole stream where you came in and they like ordered the birthday molten.
You guys better be hungry because we got a lot of Chili's to eat. It's about to close. I'm here at closing.
I have to say, because you think like, oh, it might be annoying. Honestly, it's like refreshing doing anything but just making food for people over and over again. It's such a grind. But like when you're like connecting with somebody, you know, like, and actually being genuine to like your servers and stuff.
Yeah.
It is so nice just like having a human connection where it doesn't feel that you're like I'm not like a wage slave. Like, I'm not just make my burger.
Right.
But they're actually like, they're like,
so you wouldn't feel annoyed if there was like a weird guy in the corner talking to himself and said Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
As long as that wouldn't bother you. I mean, you're making me feel better because I felt very embarrassed about that whole thing. But I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't so bad. RC, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. This is very fun. XFTC chair. There's no fucking way. Right? There's no fucking way. Lena Khan's in my chat. No fucking way. No. Imagine that's Lena Khan. She's just sad. Lila Khan crestfallen at her computer, like, maybe next time. Click it. No, dude, someone. I don't want to incentivize people to just fucking lie or make jokes. You know, there's like real people with real jobs in here. Balding at 21 is not a job. That's just being a Twitch viewer. Professional trust fund, baby. ER doctor. Kayla.
Hello?
Hello. Can I first ask you the most important question? Have you ever seen House MD?
I've seen like a few episodes of it. I haven't seen many. You mean where everything's lupus? Is that the one?
Yes. I was going to say, how true is that to real life? Because it seems like it's a documentary.
Not at all. I've never seen lupus in my life.
All right, so tell me about being an ER doctor. I've been starting all these by saying what my first impression is, what my thought are. It sounds like an extremely stressful job where you see blood and guts and damage all the time. Can you tell me is there truth or falsehood in that?
There's definitely truth in that. We see a lot of crazy shit. That's definitely true with like TV stuff.
Okay.
But then there's also a lot of bullshit. Like I've had chest pain for the past 2 years, and today is the day that I'm coming in to get it figured out. Or like my child looked at me wrong, they might be dying. Like that.
Okay.
Where it's like, holy shit, everybody take the chill pill. I can't figure this out.
What's the percentage? Like how many of your patients in a day do you think are just incorrectly diagnosing themselves and it's not that serious?
Oh, you mean how many times a day I hear I Googled?
Yeah.
Oh, at least 5 or 6 times a day.
Oh,
for
wow.
Sure. For sure.
That would be so frustrating.
Yeah. But then you see the cool stuff in between, and it makes.
What's the cool stuff? What is the cool stuff of the job?
The cool stuff, it may seem very morbid, but
Sure.
all the things where you get to do cool procedures like intubating people or putting tubes in people's chests. Yeah.
First of all, this is a hard job to get into. This is not easy. What was the process to get here?
You got to do 4 years of undergrad, and then you have to do 4 years of medical school.
Oh my god!
And then 3 to 4 years of whatever specialty you want to do. So for ER, it could be 3 or 4. It depends on the program.
So you're after 11 plus years essentially of training and schooling to be where you
Hell
are now.
Yeah. That's what keeps you going. Can't turn back now.
Well, yeah, you can't turn back now. After. Okay, so now you're in. And do you like it? That's my first real question. Do you enjoy the job?
There are moments where you definitely don't, but then you get those moments where like, you know, somebody's alive because the team did something, or things that kind of like shine through and make it so worth it at the end of the day.
In
It's
House
stuff like
MD, they often will break into the patient's house to get data on them to diagnose them. Is that a big part of your job, or does someone else do
Absolutely.
that? Yeah.
There's a specific class we take in medical school called breaking and entering. And it's essential to figure out what's going on.
That's good. What about patients who are afraid of the cost? Because obviously we know it's very expensive.
I'm lucky in being an ER doctor that I don't have to deal with insurance companies like family medicine doctors do, where they have to get approval. Technically, in my realm, like it's an emergency. I don't have time to talk to an insurance company.
Right, you just do it.
You just do it. But there are still patients who come in like self-pay who will be like, I can't get that CAT scan. I can't do this. I can't do that.
Dude,
because
that's
it's going to come out to be like a bajillion dollars.
You know, people having to choose between their financial health and their physical health.
Right.
In the
right.
long
You
run,
just
it's bad for both. Like, it's not fair. It's not, it's messed up. I just want to live in the fantasy world. I want it to be lupus every time. I don't want the real horrors.
House MD it is. House MD it is.
Much appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Good luck with the job.
Thanks for having me.
I want to pick a weird one. Let's do private yacht crew. How about that? Okay, Drew. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time and coming on to the broadcast. When I think of a private yacht deckhand, I think of having to deal with a lot of very rich people. Now, this is a rented private yacht, like different people are renting it for parties and such.
No, private. There's like two kinds of people in my role: private versus charter. And private is you work for one boat, one owner. Whenever the owner wants to use the boat, you are there and you're working directly for him. Charter is kind of like think of like a mix of an Airbnb and a hotel, in
Sure.
that people rent out the boat and they rent out the crew with it as well, and you work for them.
Wait, so
you
how often
work
can
like
this
that.
person be yachting? Is this a full-time job, or how does this work? How do you?
I mean, these are rich motherfuckers, so they want to go out 3 times a week when they have a slow week in whatever their day job is. Just yesterday, my boat's owner left town for a month.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be back, and so I'm basically just maintaining, cleaning the yacht, and fixing anything that's broken. Hence, I'm available to talk at what is 2 a.m. in the East Coast time.
Okay, but you still have to show up to the boat?
Right now, I'm not living aboard, but for call it 8 months out of the year, I live aboard the boat.
Oh, wow.
There are dedicated crew quarters, and
So this is rich. This is rich. We're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about like upwards of $100 million net
Oh,
worth.
wow. This is,
people.
yeah, okay. This is like very, very wealthy people. Holy shit. What kind of behavior are these people getting up to? Are you under the situation where you just can't?
This guy, he's a pretty good family man. He mostly uses the boat to hang out with his family and some friends that he takes along with him. But no, I've spent some time in crew houses, which are essentially like hostels for yacht crew that don't have work right now.
Sure.
At the moment, there is some absolutely depraved behavior going on.
But then, okay, what's interesting to me is you're describing someone who has enough money to buy a yacht and go out 3 times a week, and they're just chilling. They're just
like he wants to go park off a shallow area and go fishing off the back of his 100-foot yacht, and wants to use it as a mobile cigar lounge, just hanging out with his buddies.
He's a viber, dude. He's just vibing at the level of wealth that's astronomical. That's
astronomical is putting it lightly.
No, I mean that real yacht money is truly the final frontier of wealth. I mean, especially my understanding is if you ever have a yacht that has live-in crew, then you're really in the truly insane range.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I'll say is, I assume you're going to beautiful areas or like, it's just nice. Is that part of the job you enjoy? Like what part of the jobs do you enjoy? What part do you hate?
I'll start with the hate in that, like, you're gonna miss most kind of holidays. That's kind of like the bad part, and it's also pretty hard to have a relationship. The good parts, like you mentioned, and like you have pulled up on your stream right now, like you get to visit some incredible places, and also the money. You have no cost of living, which you don't think about in your salary. You're living aboard. Your transportation to and from work is waking up, putting on your clothes, and walking upstairs. My boat currently does not have a chef, but it's very common for them to have a chef that will cook all the meals for the crew and the owners.
Right, you're not. I mean, I didn't really think about the no rent, no housing costs. That saves up money pretty quick. Thanks for sharing with us. I know all of my chatters are going to be 100 millionaires soon, so when they buy their own yachts, maybe they will talk to you for advice.
Yeah, maybe I'll make enough money through this job that they'll be working for me.
This will be a chain, dude. We'll just get a chain of fucking yacht owners. Anyway, Drew, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing with us.
Lizzie gang.
Lizzie gang. Oh, I didn't know you were the almighty god of wizardry. It makes no sense. And you trying to defend it makes you a fool. Which means, canonically... Can we talk about the Nagasaki? Agent 47 sleeps every wizard. Are you fit? Actually, are you actually stupid? No, but the snitch is worth 150. Writing so many owls. If I was a colors, you bite your so shut the up. Wait, I need to talk about Harry Potter real quick. Have you read the books? Of course. I'm a millennial. It's like asking a fish, breathe water? That's a stupid question, bro. Yeah, I read the books. The overarching problem with Harry Potter universe
Stay connected with Discovery Bank. Get 15% off airtime and data in the Discovery Bank app when paying with Discovery Miles.
With 2025 well underway and a new head chungus at the helm, big changes are afoot. Trump and Melania released meme coins, introducing grandparents to the surging crypto market. Marines are playing spades and spitting dip at the southern border, while big booty Latinas run psyops. China released a knockoff ChatGPT. Apparently, we all have to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America now, a change that is catching on as well as the Freedom Fries rebrand of 2003, plus a whole bunch of other things YouTube might get mad if I talk about. But as the US does the most American things it can imagine, the market keeps spinning, and Wall Street Bets degenerates keep flexing their trades unabated. Mi gente, it is my honor to present the dankest trades of the Reconquista. Coming in fast is a weeb by the name of Check Rain, who makes more than $100,000 a year working as a software developer for the military-industrial complex in Singapore, which is sus. Also sus, Check Rain pussed out and deleted all his Wall Street Bets posts after I wrote this script, but before I screenshotted most of the images, which is exactly what a communist sympathizer would do. Joining Reddit in October 2019, he spent 3 years posting nothing but anime girls in unhealthy excess. But in the course of international affairs, even Singapore anime fans eventually find themselves drawn to the mothership of Wall Street Bets, and Check Rain is no exception. With his low-expense lifestyle and his substantive income over many years, he was able to save up over 600,000 Singapore dollars for investing, or about 450,000 normal dollars. Check Rain Senpai started posting on Wall Street Bets in September 2024, describing how he had recently made an unspecified gain on Soxal puts and ASTS calls. But here in September, as investors started getting bearish ahead of the traditional September decline, Check Rain was not convinced that a pullback was ahead. In a contrarian move, the big dog inversed Wall Street Bets and YOLO'd his money on Soxal, a 3x leveraged bullish semiconductor ETF. His 40,050 shares translated into a $114,500 bet that chips would defy any September pullback. And for his aggressive audacity, he was rewarded, as Soxal had bottomed just below his buy price and began a savage rally for the next month. The implied gain would be about $48,000. But by October 11th, we learned that there was a serious problem. Our homie reveals that he had lost about 72% of his portfolio on unspecified options during this time frame, leaving him with about 150,000 Singapore dollars left. To his dishonor, Check Rain did not share the cause of this loss, but admits he suffers from an undiagnosed gambling addiction, making it likely that his losses were sustained when he self-cucked on short-term options. The Soxal gain was like putting gauze on a buckshot wound. Although these losses were heavy, our man knew just what to do. He consulted his waifu Pillow on what to do next, and she reminded him of how Yusuke Urameshi was savagely beaten by Toguro with seemingly no prospect of survival. Only after being left bloodied and beaten was Yusuke able to fully unleash his fury and obliterate Toguro with a full-power spirit gun, resulting in decisive victory. If Yusuke could overcome the demon Togoro's savage onslaught, so too could Check Rain overcome a bloodied portfolio. On October 14th, the inspired trader got back on his feet. It was time to rebuild and find a new target. At this time, sentiment around Nvidia was growing, and analysts began speculating that it would overcome even Apple's market cap. The writing was on the wall. Traders and analysts were pumping the stock too high, and there was no legitimate reason for its meteoric rise. With $39,000, our man went in on 168 at-the-money puts on Nvidia, expiring at the end of the week. He coupled this with $17,000 on SOX S, a bearish semiconductor ETF that would follow Nvidia down. He also entered 54 out-of-the-money covered calls on ASTS, banking on a minor price rise. This trio of positions would be his spirit gun, his shot at resurgence. The following morning on October 15th, Nvidia started the day with a nasty but short-lived dip. Success tracked Nvidia down. For a bearish tech trader like Check Rain, this was thick gains. Overnight, the big man added $103,000 to his coffers. But there was more to be done. Believing the time for further pullback was at hand, the big weeb reassessed his positions and topped up with some more cash. Expecting CEO Jensen to slip up, Check Rain went in on 168 contracts of Nvidia puts at the $139 strike, expiring October 18th, which is really similar to the position that he had closed just a few days prior. His prediction was spot on as Nvidia fell down the elevator shaft pre-market. When the sun rose over the US of A, Rainman revealed a $10,000 gain on Nvidia puts and a $16,000 gain on ASTS shares, bringing his portfolio to almost $300,000. This was a chance to cash out, but after talking it over with Waifu, the Mad Lad decided to hold onto his Nvidia puts expiring in just 3 days. This was the same logic that cost him so much money earlier in the year. But this time, he was confident that a bet against Nvidia was his biggest brain move yet. As the night dragged on in Singapore, Americans continued to trade their shares. Our man hit the hay, expecting to wake up in the morning to his results. But fate intervened. Big Homie woke up in a cold sweat, with an otherworldly force telling him to check his stock. His eyes began to shed tears of joy, for while he slept, Nvidia shit the bed, and his position was now cruising in at a $100,000 gain. Closing out, he slept the rest of the night peacefully after some quality time with Waifu the Pillow, because with this gain, he had become like his favorite anime heroes. Tactical, cold-blooded, and always one step ahead. Following consultation with a Naruto poster, he determined to curb his gambling addiction by withdrawing almost all of his money, leaving $50,000 in his account, 50% of which would be held in ASTS, and the other 50% postured for his ultimate, final move. On October 29th, the stage was set. Putting aside the noise, Rainman reflected on the US election. Cheeto Bandito's stock DJT had run up quite high as betting markets predicted a Trump win. It decisively crossed the $40 mark on October 28th, closing at about $47 that day. The next day, the stock surged again, reaching almost $55. Trump's win was basically a done deal if betting markets were to be believed, but Check Rain was not convinced. Even if Mango did win, that would mean very little for DJT stock, which had negligible assets, and its entire price was basically a measurement of MAGA fervor. This was a sell the news event, or in other words, a buy puts event. With his $25,000 of remaining liquidity, the hotshot grabbed deep out of the money puts on DJT, expiring in 2 days, with the bulk of his position in puts at the $40 strike, more than $15 out of the money. Ever bearish on Nvidia, he also grabbed $20,000 of puts there as well. This exceeded his cash balance, indicating he was leveraged to the balls. The next 48 hours would determine everything. But it took nowhere near that long. On Halloween, news broke out that underdog Kamala Harris gained ground in the polls. Suddenly, a red team win did not look like a sure thing. DJT stock tanked to $35 over the course of the afternoon, and our homie was swimming in green. That very same day, Reuters broke the news that Nvidia was hitting antitrust roadblocks in the EU, which turned weak-handed shareholders into jelly. Our man's disdain for the chip company bore fruit as the stock fell more than 5% in moments. In the course of an afternoon, the stars had aligned. Both positions were now deep in the money, and his profits reached $200,000. Waifu was right. Through sheer determination and some serious luck, our man had overcome the odds to walk off into the sunset with a huge, rapid gain. His Togoro, his menace, was decisively defeated. With his portfolio fattened and his schedule cleared, Check Rain turned his time and energy to something far more meaningful, using bots to crush noobs on chess.com. Armed with his programming skills and an unhealthy obsession, he's exploiting their API to rack up a ridiculous 65,000 puzzle rating, which means he wins 99% of the time. Just be careful, Check Rain. Chess dudes will shank you if they figure it out. I know touching grass in Singapore might be difficult, but I want you to try. Now, let's hear from my sponsor so I can get paid. I personally find it a bit frustrating to maintain crypto in a cold storage wallet like Ledger or Trezor. They're kind of a pain to set up. You have to plug them in at least a few times a year or they die. and there's a bit of a learning curve to using the interface. On the other hand, you don't want to leave your crypto in an exchange or on a hot wallet where you're vulnerable to phishing. To fix this gap, I recently got into Tangem, which is a cold storage device that uses near-field communication to access your wallet. Instead of having to plug your $150 ledger into your desktop and wait for a very slow interface, you can just put your cell phone near a Tangem card or ring, and you can access your wallet via the app. Make no mistake, people tend to think that your crypto is somehow held inside a cold storage device. That's not true. Your coins are on the blockchain. These devices are just the way you take your coins out of your wallet. Although Tangem gives you the option to go seedless, I personally prefer the familiarity of having a backup seed phrase. If you use the seed phrase option like me, make sure you're storing it correctly. I find Tangem a lot easier to use than my ledger. In fact, I really prefer Tangem over the more traditional hardware wallets. Tangem supports way more cryptocurrencies, it's easier to access your holdings, and the cards cost about half as much as a ledger or Trezor. The ring, more expensive, is about the same price as a hardware wallet, but with my discount code, we can knock down another 10%, making the cheapest set less than $50, plus about $7 shipping to the US. Thanks to Tangem for sponsoring, and now let's get back to the action with Dank Trade number 2. Coming in next is a Wall Street Bets veteran who lost his Reddit account and had to create a new one in August 4th, 2024 by the moniker of One Assignment 5126. Our man is an entrepreneur in the outdoor cushions and umbrella industry by day, but moonlights as a competitive black ops gamer and outer space enthusiast. The big dog got into options trading during the lockdowns of 2020, like many other bright-eyed common folk. And like many such novices, the siren song of Wall Street Bets was as irresistible as yum yum sauce to a hungry Caucasian. His first foray into our favorite sub included deep-throating extensive bearish DD posts that explained how the summer of 2020 would be terrible for the US economy, thus tanking the market. The umbrella salesman was convinced by this persuasive argumentation and dropped an unspecified fat stack on SPY puts, which in the summer of 2020 was one of the worst things you could do. His puts got strangled like Vercingetorix, and were likewise ultimately wrecked and widely regarded as a tremendous failure. This initial defeat was painful, but One Assignment stayed positive by viewing this as tuition money in the College of Options. He resolved to be more deliberate in his future trades, and he spent the next 2 years rebuilding his pot. In 2022, it was time to get back in the game. With a renewed sense of self, he decided to invest only in companies that he understood at a deeper level, giving him an edge over the barbaric retail traders who are blinded by the dichotomy of panic and FOMO. Being a UFO enthusiast, he decided to explore the space industry for an unpolished gem. But the space exploration niche is notorious for hosting dogshit companies designed to fleece investors, like Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, ticker SPACE. But after concentrated effort, he dug up Rocket Labs, ticker RKLB, and was pleased with their vertical integration game plan. The company's 5D chess move was to acquire satellite component companies so as to keep production in-house and shield themselves from industry tomfoolery, and to leverage upcoming Department of Defense contracts to maximize revenue. For an industry in which the average company's entire game plan is to offer 45-minute outer space tours to rich people, Rocket Labs having an actual path to profitability was like a breath of ozone. Anticipating that these game-changing catalysts would unfold in 2023 and 24, our mad lad started accumulating shares while the stock was around $4 levels. He also picked up long-term out-of-the-money calls at the $5 and $6 strikes expiring in October 2024. All he had to do was stay patient. But as months turned into years, his leaps slowly decayed as Rocket Labs stubbornly resisted getting above $4 and change. By summer 2024, his shares were still essentially flat, and his calls were being chewed to bits with expiration just a few months out. But having spent a significant amount of time on the Rocket Lab and Rocket Lab Investors Club subreddits, our man continued to profess his thesis that government contracts for space projects, particularly for the Space Force, were just around the corner. All it would take is one good contract to send the stock to Alpha Centauri. Putting his money where his mouth is, the big dog reloaded his positions with calls at the $5.50 strikes all the way up to $10 strikes, expiring in 2025 and 26. As he continued building out his position, he eventually grew to invest about $70,000 in calls over 24 months. It's unclear how red he was at any given time, but as his 2024 calls slowly bled out, there was no doubt this aggressive investment was not comfortable. Only Rocket Man's unbridled belief in the company secured his iron hands. But was he smart money, or another sucker buying into the corrupt space industry? On August 16, 2024, Chad CEO Sir Peter Beck answered that question for us. Sir Petey announced that Rocket Labs shipped 2 Mars-bound aircraft to Cape Canaveral for the Escapade heliophysics mission to search for plasma in Mars's atmosphere, a groundbreaking mission by any standard. This yeeted the stock by almost 20% to above $6. His October calls, which were being ground to dust for 2 years, were now in the money just 60 days before expiration. By the following day, Homeboy's calls cruised in for a gain of over $90,000. Sir Pete had blessed his shareholders with chunked out bags of cash. But as our astronaut saw it, this was only step 1 of a much larger mission. He sold only his $10 strikes expiring in January and reinvested the gain into 8,000 shares. He now held 22,000 shares with an average price of $6 per share, signifying a stock position of about 130,000. 4 days later, he offered even more cash to the rocket surgeons by adding 100 $10 strike calls expiring at the end of 2026. For better or worse, Mr. Jetson was now in for the long haul. After a few months of speculation driving the stock to above $14 on November 12th, our man was swimming in gains and flexing a new spacesuit at the club. But his desires were not yet satiated. He needed more. And more came that very afternoon. November 12th, CEO Petey Big Mac hit the scene once again and dropped news of a sweet deal with a confidential commercial satellite operator to work with Rocket Labs' reusable Neutron rockets in 2025. Further, the company announced $105 million in third quarter revenue, representing a 55% year-over-year increase. A backlog of over $1 billion in orders predicted a future that would shine brighter than Polaris. The next day, our cosmonaut gawked at his portfolio as the stock reached an all-time high, surging 30% to over $18. Our man's calls were now deep in the money, with nothing but open heliosphere ahead. One assignment 5126 made more than $600,000 on just his calls alone, and his 22,000 shares were now worth more than $400K. From 100,000 in August to over $1 million by November, our man had achieved the almost impossible milestone, and his fellow degens weighed in with a mix of envy and praise. As the newly minted millionaire flies off into the rings of Uranus, we bid him the best in his new lifestyle. Don't spend it all in one place, big dog. And now, the moment we waited for, the dankest trade of the Reconquista. Let us feast our eyes on a story of a man who lives his life freely and shamelessly, enjoying a taste of all that life has to offer. It is my pleasure to introduce Sascourge, who joined Reddit way back in June 2016. At the time, he revealed that he was in the middle of his bulking phase and sought to increase his strength and flexibility through deep form squats. But in short order, he'd come off of his normie subreddits to explore crypto in the 2017 boom, in which he purchased Ripple, a cryptocurrency used to enable low-cost internet money transfers. He purchased at a high price, closed at a low, and then FOMO'd in again at an even higher price, making him a great candidate for Wall Street bets right out of the gate. A generally shoot-from-the-hip type of individual, Sascourge also managed to physically melt a Ledger Nano S, got a tattoo of a crypto scam company called Titanium Blockchain Infrastructure Services weeks before it went under, and ate Chick-fil-A after getting gastrointestinal surgery. As the 2017-18 crypto hype died off, Sascourge fell back into financial obscurity. Sascourge fell back into financial obscurity, like Verge or Dentacoin. But the rush he felt trading his digital money never fully abated. For several years, our man regressed into normie posting, spending a lot of time discussing football, cars, and health. But every once in a while, he popped into Wall Street bets with the cool kids, leaving the door open for his next stage of degeneracy. Fast forward to February 2024, our homie started commenting on the Palantir subreddit. He expressed his discontent with the company for allowing insiders to sell immediately after positive earnings, along with a 5% shareholder dilution. User Real by Call counterdunked by rationalizing the incentive to insiders and pushed Sascourge to hold the line. Big Daddy Scourge appears unpersuaded by Call's encouragement, enough to drop shares like a hot potato. Research would show that our man's concern about insider selling was indeed unwarranted, as this was just a pre-planned stock sell event, but he did no such DD himself. Even after selling, Big Homie's contempt was not entirely assuaged. Despite Baikal's explanation, Sascourge was frustrated that as shares were diluted 5%, he had effectively been buying 95% of a share at 100% of the price. This sensation of treachery continued to fester, and he kept this betrayal in his pocket, as one does Chekhov's gun. During the summer of 2024, he set his sights on a fitness and beverage company called Celsius Holdings. High school students were guzzling cans of Celsius like crack addicts in Red Hook. Lunch money was being diverted into energy drinks at an unprecedented rate. But since our man did not have the money to buy calls on it, he came up with another plan. Still salty about being shortchanged by Palantir's share dilution, he decided to be a scourge to this deceptive, self-diluting company. Believing Palantir would continue its unabated betrayal of shareholders, he determined that the stock would continuously meet resistance with every price increase. Betting against an upward move by selling calls would yield him premium that he could use to buy Celsius calls. To materialize this plan, he sold Palantir calls at the highest strike price being offered at the time, expiring in January 2026. He sold 32 naked calls at the $40 strike, yielding him $8,520 in premium. At the time, Palantir was trading for about $25 and appeared to have no interest in getting anywhere near 40. All he needed to do was wait for Palantir to flop around aimlessly as time went on, dropping the value of his naked short calls and awarding him with a gain to buy calls of the energy drink stock. This move would slam dunk two birds with one stone. For those still learning about options, selling naked calls means you are now obligated to sell shares of stock at the strike price whenever the call buyer decides to execute the contract. If you do not have shares to sell to the buyer, you need to go out into the open market and buy those shares so that you can give them to the call buyer. For agreeing to this obligation, Saskurge got paid an average of just over $266 in premium per contract. Times 32 contracts, that's $8,520 collected. That's a good chunk for Celsius calls. Some traders will buy shares of the underlying stock to hedge against the stock flying higher, putting the call seller in a jam. But to Saskurge, trading covered calls did nothing but represent a lack of conviction in your trade. Our man carried on, his short calls butt naked, with a big bag of premium slated for energy drink calls. As election season ramped up with Cheeto Bandito in the lead, investors smelled money to be made. They expected a flood of federal funding on national security and counter-immigration measures, which would send demand for Palantir's software tools into overdrive. Investors started huffing Palantir Freebase, driving shares through a steady upward swing. The naked Saskurge began to sweat, but he remained steadfast. Surely, Palantir would dilute shares once again, or profit takers would cash out. For now, he was safe. But the red team clinched victory in November, and in Mango's America, not even Mars is safe.
To plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
With inauguration imminent, Palantir's Apollo mission continued, and the stock blasted past $40 like bullets through paper and kept zipping on above the $60 mark. Our big homie barely had time to react. Palantir had doubled to well above the highest available strike when he sold his calls. And all this time, the Palantir board was nowhere to be seen. They did not dilute. Insiders did not dump shares. They almost appeared to want the share price to keep climbing. Indeed, Palantir was doing everything they could to strengthen their business, including securing exclusive government contracts as a powerhouse of AI-enabled military intelligence. If Papa Scourge hadn't panicked over the 5% share dilution and instead diamond-handed the stock, he'd be sitting on more than 100% in gains. Instead, his position was smoked sausage. On December 5th, 2024, our man revealed the profit and loss of his seminal trade. As the stock yeeted up, $40 strike calls went from trading for $266 to over $3,500 a piece. Short 32 naked calls, covering at $3,500 each, would mean a total loss of more than $100,000, more than his entire portfolio value. He was entirely out of liquidity, with no means of untangling this mess. Now, he is facing the grim reality of needing to deliver 3,200 shares that he can't afford to buy. Rolling the position up or out wasn't a realistic option, as his delta was already over 90 and continuing to get worse. As of late January, Palantir is trading for over $75. With contracts trading for about $3,900, Saskurge is about $120,000 in the red. Our man is stuck between ice and the rock. If he closes, he will owe his broker $120,000. If he holds, his only hope is that the stock drops down like Monica Lewinsky on Bill Clinton. What was a king to do? At present, it appears Saskurge is now in a race against margin call. Brokers will only let you cuck yourself so hard before they demand you pony up. And if Palantir ticks any higher, the big dog might need to pull some shifts behind Wendy's to make ends meet after that margin call hits, which is looking pretty likely. But there is hope yet. Jim Cramer tweeted that he was working on a, quote, Sunday brainstorm about buying shares of Palantir. If Cramer is long, then Palantir might tank after all. Big Daddy says Scourge, your willingness to stand naked in your defiance against Palantir is worthy of the utmost respect. While the company bathes in newfound funding, you stand proud, exposed, and in contempt. It is my honor to award you the crown of regards. May you wear it as proudly as you wear your losses.
Who wants to be king?
Thanks for watching. I invite you to join our free Discord, and I hope to see you guys next time. Microsoft 2000. With $50K on hand, our homie was able to scoop a fat stack of these companies, banking hard that the government would give the reins back to the board. Most Wall Street Bets users were confused, as our man failed to provide any discernible DD as to why anything would change, with most believing the government would never give up control of one of the few ways it actually makes money. But Algoroth believed a pending Supreme Court decision would force the government's hand. Like a Mormon trying to spread the word, he made a barrage of posts that March, eagerly awaiting SCOTUS to rule on this issue in June. On April 23rd, as the fated day came closer, our man's position rose by almost 25% and became worth about $80,000. He was going into the Supreme Court locked and loaded with shares. When the big day came in June, Fannie and Freddie laid down savage facts to the justices, arguing the constant government control was whack. The justices largely agreed and ruled that the company structure was unconstitutional, but passed the buck to lower courts, leaving the companies in limbo. Over the next several months, the stock took L's, but Algoroth was unconvinced that the issue was resolved. Although he was in the red by late June, he continued to stack shares relentlessly for the next 4 years. After 4 trips around the sun, patiently building his ridiculous portfolio, Big Homie finally got some good news. In March 2024, former and future President Mango reiterated his stance that he wanted Fannie and Freddie out of conservatorship, believing the government should sell its ownership at a profit to do unspecified activity with the gains. In light of this reiterated good news for shareholders, the stock blasted up about 10% that day, and Big Dog's positions were now worth almost $150,000. But this was just the beginning. Throughout 2024, Cheeto gained ground in the polls, while stale Wonder Bread Joe Biden's approval waned, and the junior varsity backup candidate Kamala Harris's momentum flashed and burned within a week. As the Big Orange's prospects of retaking the throne rose, so too did Fannie and Freddie's prospects of wiggling out of government control. When Papa Cheeto won the Big Cheese in November, gains were all but assured. On January 6, 2025, Algoroth showed his monumental green. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac went to the moon as crypto meme personified Elon Musk and shitcoin minter Donald Trump prepared to share the crown, and our man's positions weighed in at a whopping $500K. With inauguration just around the corner, both stocks surged continuously as investors hoped Cheeto would tear up the conservatorship agreement and give control back to the shareholders. Our homie's portfolio was worth almost $700,000 by the big day. Our man subscribes to hedgie Bill Ackman, who believes conservatorship will end before the close of 2026. As Algoroth hangs on with diamond hands, we may yet see him driving a Lambo on his yacht. Congratulations on the thick gains, my dude. Now, let's do the sponsored segment so I can get paid. In a promotion recently extended to July 31st, the broker Moomoo is doing the largest free share offer I have ever seen. With qualifying deposits, new users in the US can unlock up to 60 free shares. Sign up, make your deposit, claim your shares in the task center, and wait for the shares to hit your account after the vesting window. Since Moomoo offers 8.1% APY on cash, the trick to working this promotion is just to leave your position as cash and collect your yield while you wait for the shares to settle. Once they're delivered, you can do whatever you want. However, I always recommend keeping something in Moomoo because existing users can collect Moo points for completing daily tasks. The Moo points can then be exchanged for vouchers that return their face value to your cash balance when you buy shares. I use Moo for the 3K challenge that I wish more people would watch, and I've been more than happy with their service, just not with my investing decisions. Users outside the US will still get free shares, but the number of shares will be different, so mind the screen to which you get redirected. This promotion runs until July 31st, but don't sleep on this.
From one user failing college and losing student loans due to options, to another user 25xing his money in a day, we are going to go over the deadliest Wall Street bets trades of the tariff season. Championship Sum 6184 is a user who almost lost it all trading options. On March 5th, he was looking at his Tesla put gains and decided that he should roll some of it over into a bullish bet. SPY had started taking a dip, and he figured that it was due for a green day. That being said, he threw over $10,000 into 0 DTE SPY calls that were just about at the money. Don gave a semi-worrying speech the night before, and things were off to a rocky start. Halfway through the trading day, Championship Sum felt like he may have made the wrong move, and almost panic sold his calls. He stayed strong though, and luckily for him, SPY rallied more than 2% over the next few hours, putting his calls up $40,000 for the day. 40K in a day is real nice. But it wasn't enough to keep him satisfied for long, cause the very next day, he decided that he was gonna buy even more 0 DTE SPY options. Except this time, he was done being a bull. He bought about 20K worth of 0 DTE SPY puts and 43K worth of puts that expired a week later. With luck once again on his side, he pretty quickly rose to a $70,000 gain. He closed out his 0 DTE puts, but let the 72K worth of weeklies ride out. The jobs report was just about to come out, and he even acknowledged that these gains could be wiped out if the government hit us with good news that day. Well, SPY rose about 0.5% the next day, and he sold his puts. SPY actually fell over 4% by the time his puts expired, and he would have made another 100K if he held, but oh well. On Friday, March 21st, he wanted to have his most degenerate day yet. SPY immediately dropped at open, so Championship Sum loaded up on out-of-the-money 0 DTE calls. Well, the market was trading pretty sideways, and he cut his losses at 20% before it got real ugly. Instead of walking away and calling it a day, he took all the cash he had left in his account and bought 1,000 calls that were just barely out of the money. That's not even the worst part though. The real zinger was that there were only 20 minutes left until the market closed. Forget 0 DTE. This was 20 MTE. Surely Theta was gonna eat all of his money and he would be left with nothing. He somehow made it out alive though, because the market immediately started rocketing after he bought these calls. In 15 minutes, his calls went from a value of 16K all the way up to $190,000. He went to lock in his 12x gain, except he couldn't. Questrade decided to risk review him, and he could not sell for 30 seconds. In these 30 seconds, his calls no joke fell by $3,000 a second. Finally, the weight was up and he locked in a $103,000 gain. He could finally take a deep breath. He says before he made this trade, he thought he was gonna have to start working at the trusty old Wendy's. These calls literally saved him. He even says that he's gonna adopt a boomer lifestyle and invest his gains into more stable ETFs instead of trying his luck again next week. He admitted that this trade was just hopium and dumb luck hitting at the perfect moment. He hasn't posted since that day, so hopefully he really did take a safer route to growing his money. Okay, this dude barely made it out alive, but I Am Thalos is a user who put options trading before school, and so far it has not been working. When Donald Trump started causing major volatility in the market, I Am Thalos felt like there would be a huge spike up. Since he was so confident that the market wouldn't stay down for long, he did what any other reasonable investor would do and deposited all of his student loans into Robinhood. Not wanting to waste any time, he made his first trade at the very end of February. He bought $1,800 worth of SPY puts that expired over a week later, but he got a little scared and sold for a 10% loss 3 minutes later. Okay, not off to the best start, but I'm sure things will pick up. On March 3rd, he bought $900 worth of 0 DTE spy calls and once again quickly sold for a 40% loss 8 minutes later. Okay, he may have messed up these first 2 trades, but third time's the charm, isn't it? Half an hour later, he bought just under $1,000 worth of more 0 DTE spy calls, and 5 minutes later he sold for a 34% loss. Usually, after 3 strikes you're out, but this determined trader was just getting started. Only 13 minutes later, he bought $800 worth of more 0 DTE spy calls and sold for a 69% loss 2 hours later. I Am Thalos knew that he wasn't a bad trader. He was just being held back by his stupid classes. He says he started skipping an early class frequently to make back the loss. But this backfired, and his professor ended up failing him out of the course. Well, at least he made back his losses, right? Well, with 80% of his school loans gone for the semester, he finally realizes that it's probably gone forever. Big Gamble 3 is a user who went on the craziest run of 2025 so far. He made money faster than anyone else on the subreddit. Starting with just $660, most people wouldn't pay any attention to him. Over the course of the next 5 days, though, he placed countless 0 DTE SPX trades. I want you to take a wild guess as to where his portfolio ended up. You might be thinking, like $0, what most people on Wall Street Bets end up with. But actually, you couldn't be further from the truth. He took that $660 into more than 273K. A 414x gain in 5 days would definitely change most people's lives. But he admits that he actually turned 3.6 million into 0 before this. He also says that he is a rich white dude. He withdrew 67.5K from his portfolio, and everyone was waiting for his next move. Some even hoping to see it at $1 million next week. People waited patiently, and a few days later, Big Gamble did not get back to us with an update, but instead deleted his account, which is basically code word for I made some bad trades and lost everything. A lot of users on the subreddit posted about his disappearance, but pretty much everyone agrees that his account probably went straight back down to 0. Tiller Ray is a user who went on a crazy run back in 2024 and came back in 2025 to see if he still had the magic touch. He started with only $600. On February 25th, Spy was trading just below $600. He threw everything into at the money 0 DTE calls. Luckily for him, his position quickly rose to a value of $2,100 later that day. Day 1, he already 3.5x'd his money. Day 2, he threw 2K into more 0 DTE spy calls and sold for a 42% gain later that day. Not bad at all. The next day, things were about to get wild. He once again YOLO'd everything, except this time it was into puts, not calls. Very early on in the trading day, his portfolio flew from $2,800 to $10K. He was sitting on a $7,000 gain. Except, Spy quickly rose again and completely wiped out all of his gains. He went from being up 7K to down 1,500 in minutes. But he wasn't gonna give up just yet. Spy fell back down and his portfolio was thankfully back in the green by a few $1,000s. He took a deep breath, but didn't sell. And not too long after, he was back in the red by more than $1,000. Tiller Ray says he was beginning to think of what wall to drive into. Then, Spy suddenly fell by 2% over the rest of the trading day, and Tiller Ray's portfolio was back from the dead. He sold for a nearly $12,000 gain and was up over 420% for the day. He 24x'd his money in the past couple days, but he still wasn't ready to call it quits. The next day, he decided he was done with Spy, but not with 0 DTE contracts. He once again YOLO'd everything into 0 DTE Nvidia calls. Nvidia started the trading day just below $118. The stock needed to rise 2.5% just for him to break even, but luckily for him, Nvidia was a monster this day. It peaks at $125. He didn't sell at the peak, but still locked in a 72% gain, which put his portfolio just above 23K. 3 days later, he YOLO'd everything into 0 DTE Spy puts and quickly sold for a $3,000 profit. Spy kept on falling though, and his contracts would have been worth 240K, 10x his portfolio if he just held a few hours longer. 2 days later, he got his hands on another $2,000 gain. He gave us his last update on March 10th and showed us that he successfully took his portfolio to 34.5K. 58xing your portfolio in a week is outrageous, but Ringed Falls is a user like I Am Thalos who needed to make some money to pay for college, and like any other smart investor, he turned to good old Wall Street bets. Ringed Falls initially started posting to the subreddit over a year ago, but the screenshots attached to those have unfortunately been lost to time. We can still see the titles of his posts though, and admittedly, they're a bit concerning. Flash forward to last summer, he threw 4K into SPY calls and nearly doubled his money. He had just about 9K in SPY options, and things were looking bright for him, until he lost 3,400 the next day. No worries though, it was back up the following day, and he sold for over 3K in profit. Sure, Ringed Falls may be in college, but let's be honest, these are baby numbers. He knew that he needed to take it up a notch if he wanted to strike it rich. He perfected his craft, and a few months later, he finally returned with this monstrosity. Ringed Falls lost $18,000 in a single day, most of it within an hour. At this rate, the only education he was going to be able to afford was Hustlers University. Don't worry though, he took another break from the subreddit and studied even harder than last time. He came back to show off his $8,500 HIMS gain, and only 5 days after that, he reached $30,000 in his portfolio, which put him up over 180% over the past month. With the help of meta calls, Hood, and even more HIMS calls, his portfolio miraculously reached $50,000 only 2 days later. Things were finally going good for him, and he could take a deep breath knowing he could start funding his college tuition at a respected university. Until he proceeded to lose 75% of his money the following week. QQQ calls completely shafted him, and he claimed that he was going to close his Robinhood account after that day. Users said, "See ya Monday," and they weren't wrong. That Monday, he came back and YOLO'd everything into 0 DTE QQQ puts. Luckily, it fell not 1, not 2, but 1.18%, and he sold it all for a $31,000 gain for the day. After posting a bit about Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi, he switched to a cash account and somehow kept on making money. Only a day later, he made another $32,000 thanks to more puts. Some users called him out for not closing his account like he said he would. Others encouraged him, and, well, he listened. To everyone who jokingly told me to double it. With even more risky options, he made nearly 62K in a day and brought his portfolio to $143,000. Since the end of February, he hasn't given us any updates, so hopefully he still has enough money to help put him through college. CrunchyPie1 is a user who got a ginormous win pretty quickly. He claims to be poor. Like, really poor. Like, paycheck to paycheck. Despite that, he usually throws $400 to $800 a month into risky options. This led him to being down $5,000 since the creation of his Robinhood portfolio. He started off the week like usual and threw some money into Robinhood. Thanks to the market's crash, his Nvidia puts paid off big time. On day 2 of his journey, his portfolio was miraculously sitting at 17.3K. Looking at his all-time chart on Robinhood shows that this was the first moment of hope for his portfolio. It would definitely be a shame if he lost it all. Well, a couple days later, he was back at it again. Luckily, his portfolio was now at 25.5K, and it even seems like he withdrew some of it to keep it safe. CrunchyPie has so far stayed in the green, but NOS Joker 21 is a user who may be on the brink of kissing his portfolio goodbye. Joker started off pretty modestly, not even being able to post to Wall Street Bets at first. At the end of February, he posted to Small Street Bets about his $1,500 gain with his SPY puts. Joker may have been stuck on bootleg Wall Street Bets, but he was determined to make it to the big league. So he immediately got to work. 3 days later, he threw $4,200 into even more 1 DTE SPY puts. The market was just starting to cool down, and he hoped that it would keep on dropping. A day later, he opened up his Webull portfolio and was very delighted to see that his puts were up over 100%. He now had a respectable 11.5K in his account, but he knew that this wouldn't be enough to impress the subreddit. He still had more work to do. He updated us a day later and was already up another $1,500. This was nothing compared to the day he was about to have though. With Tesla's all-new everything's computer, people were drooling over the stock. Okay, maybe not really. But Joker was especially not liking the stock. He bought just under 3K worth of 1 DTE Tesla puts and 0 DTE SPY puts. The market instantly boomed, in a bad way, and his portfolio skyrocketed by 110%. He finally had the confidence to post to Wall Street Bets, and was immediately, wholesomely welcomed. Now he realized he was on a hot streak, and there was no way he was gonna stop. The very next day, he posted about Luigi and his $5,300 gain for the day. Except Donald Trump started freaking out on Zelensky, and Joker's money basically got Thanos snapped in seconds. From $31,000 to $8,900 in just an hour, things were not looking good. He eventually sold and ended off the day down 14K. Feeling hurt, he moved back to small street bets. But hey, 3 days later, he made a $5,500 gain in less than an hour with some SPY puts. A day later, he made $5,200 with more SPY puts. Day after that, 7K on MicroStrategy calls. Day after that, he made his way to 30K. Another day later, he was at 40K once again thanks to MicroStrategy. 3 days later, he was at 49K thanks to these Tesla puts. And holy moly,
by trading meme coins. But meet Cupsy. Not too long ago, he was just another broke 18-year-old grinding Fortnite, wasting time just like most of us. But over the last year, he's turned his last $2,000 into over $30 million by trading meme coins. But here's where it gets really crazy. If you wanted to know his strategy, you'd have to break down his wallet with over 40,000 transactions on it. So I did it for you. Over the last 2 months, I've been tracking his every move, reverse engineering the strategy and every single play he's caught. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking it down step by step so you can understand exactly how he scaled to this $30 million and how you can start applying the same formula into your own trades. But who actually is Cupsy? He's easily one of the most consistent and profitable traders on chain, but here's the part most people miss. He didn't start off rich. For most of his life, he was going to party, grinding Fortnite, broke with no connections in the space. But somewhere between then, something clicked, and when it did, he didn't just win once. Ever since that first win, he started stacking thousands a day, then tens of thousands, and now he's even at a point where for the whole month of January, he averaged over $100,000 of pure profit made every single day. But before we start to deep dive Cupsy's strategy, we need to answer the one thing that everyone's thinking right now. How do we verify that his gains are real, or are they even real? There's no way someone turned $2,000 into $30 million in under a year, right? That's exactly what I thought until I checked the blockchain. As you can see here, we're on his all-time trades on the blockchain, so this is fully verifiable by anyone. And as you can see in the all-time profit category on his new wallet, which he's funded around 6 months ago, as you can see here, just over $22 million profit, which is fully verifiable by anyone at all. But really, the most interesting thing about his wallet is how many trades he's taken and how little his top P&L is. You might think $130,000 is a very big profit for one trade, but compared to his $23 million P&L, it's nothing at all. That's really the first clue to his entire system. He's not relying on home runs, he's playing a completely different game. High-paced, quick flips, stacking consistent wins with over 41,000 tokens traded and over a 70 win percent. Now that we've confirmed his gains are real through blockchain technology, let's break down how he manages to keep pulling it off again and again. The first thing Cupsy does to achieve his level of success and trade so many tokens as he does is using a very fast trading bot. Because he's focused on the new pairs category where so many coins are coming out on the meme scope, as you can see right here, and he's using the quick buy buttons which are much bigger on Axiom Pro. Axiom is definitely the best trading bot to get the best fills if you want to trade like Cupsy with his speed in the new pairs category. So if you do want to sign up to Axiom, I've left a link in the description to skip the queue and also get a discount on your fees. Cupsy's main priority is quickness, so he doesn't really care if he buys a rug token as he knows that the wins are going to pay off for the losses. So majority of the time when he's buying token, he uses this really big quick buy button that is seen on Axiom Pro to get the fastest fills possible, as he apes a lot of the coins off intuition rather than actually doing research on the coin and clicking on the chart, etc. So without a fast trading platform, Cupsy couldn't do half of the stuff that he does today. So
Art of unemployment.
I'm 34.
34? Okay, what do you do?
I am a risk taker.
Imagine that's your response when somebody says, what's your job? I'm a risk taker. Like what? You day trade? You gamble? What do you mean you're a risk taker?
I'm a road runner.
Unemployment.
Road runner.
It's no longer just about not having a job. It's a way of living. Maximizing on productivity and really just enjoying life. We live in a generation where unemployment is really the final goal. Okay, nobody wants to work a 9 to 5 no more. Which, you know, will probably...
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody really wanted to work a 9 to 5, even historically, when like the white picket fence, green grass, American dream was a thing. You wanted a job, but the end goal forever has been like retirement. Maybe working in an area or field that you want to, but still, nobody really wants to work.
Probably have some repercussions in the future. Because what happens if you need to go get your car fixed and the best you're gonna get is a sports bettor or a damn Twitch streamer? Me personally, I'm escaping the matrix. Day trading, crypto, fucking NFTs, all of that. But
bro, the whole day trading thing though, I have friends that'll like send me their like day trading profits, and I'm like, bro, this ain't getting you out of the trenches, dog. This he'll send me like he's like, I'm up 6% today. I made $12. Like, I mean, maybe this is like starting somewhere. I'm like, this is not a long-term thing that you're gonna be able to do. Like, you need investment money for that. Day trading's also just sketchy as shit.
With the amount of gambling videos I've seen, I've got genuine worry for this generation, bro. The sheer amount of debt that's gonna be built up just because of this image.
No, but that's actually not true, because young people gamble less than ever before. Young people sports bet more, but young people don't go. Gen Zers go to the casino less, more than I think any other generation.
I'll see y'all at the annuals.
Most Gen Zers that are like, you know, gambling money, it's sports betting in like CSGO cases. Speaking of, Brady literally, before I go live, ats me and goes, bang, look at this. And I'm like, dude, I know nothing about CSGO. Brady sends me a picture of a knife he fucking got. I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell that means. I'm like, I have no idea how much money that is, how useful that is. Is that a good, cool knife? What's the quality?
Squid Games, bro. Okay, now I mentioned being unemployed is going beyond the job status, because I think it's more about how you spend those jobless hours. Because you could be unemployed and, you know, still be locked in, day trading, crypto, all of that. Or you could be playing around with Saratoga bottles and damn bananas because you saw a funny internet meme. Now, before you think I'm judging you, which I am.
You
I think the biggest problem today is people are so locked in on get rich quick, methods, especially because of social media and people like panning them to others and like finance advice discords and all this other. People that are in Gen Z want a method to like get money and get money fast before it gets too big that it doesn't work anymore. One of the things that comes to mind is drop shipping. The guys that got in early on drop shipping made an ass load of money. People that were drop shipping were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for like the first year that shit was hype. And now drop shipping's so known that it's not really like a method anymore. And there's like things that kind of fall and then, hype up, fall. NFTs, meme coins. But you got to keep in mind, most of the people that even get in when it's like not hype yet are losing money. But that's what people look forward to now, because if you are one of those like lucky few, you get rich fast. But the problem is that the odds of that are extremely unlikely. And then the people that fail now have no, movement to actually get a job. And so now they're just unemployed and they're attempting to rug pull meme coins.
Corny, my boy. You're lame. I gotta admit that we all be demonstrating unemployed behavior. I mean, you might be a little too tapped in with the John Polk and Tim Cheese law.
I want to work at a normal ass job. No, I agree with that. Like, and this is coming from somebody that does Twitch streaming. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, you need to lock into a 9-to-5 for the next 45 years before you could retire with a 401k. Nobody wants to do that. The problem is, like, I don't think it's as simple as 9-to-5 or get rich quick. I think there are like other middle grounds that people can choose to do, or specific side hustles and things that people get in. I just think banking all of your time and assets that you currently have at a young age, not financial advice, to trying to make it big in the crypto space is so risky that it could fail miserably.
Or really any other niche internet meme.
Tung 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 sahur.
And we call this kind of behavior being unemployed because they just have way too much free time. And all this time they spend gallivanting around, you have to think they surely have some time to make some money. But who am I to judge you? Go enjoy your life. There's always time to escape the matrix later. But you should know better than anyone if you're just out here devouring your minutes. For example, if you're finding time in your day to prepare and eat coleslaw. We need a couple of...
What? What? Why is that the example of choice here? If you're spending your free time, you're unemployed if you spend your free time making homemade coleslaw. I mean, yeah, that's a waste of time, but...
Love y'all to start taking one for the team. We can't all be Twitch streamers and barbers, okay? Someone has to work them oil rigs. And what's 3 barbers on each street gonna do for me, okay? I need a house to be built, not a low... But maybe we'd have more employed people if the process of getting a job wasn't such a damn grueling process. I'm gonna show you some shit that might be a jump scare for some of y'all. You ready?
Well, LinkedIn pages.
Ooh, job application. The whole process of getting a job, you gotta make some fuck-ass resume. And if you don't have any experience, that shit's just gonna look like...
Well, and you have to make some stupid resume. You apply to a million jobs to get an interview at a few, get denied by most, you finally bank a job, and your end goal isn't even staying with that job, because raises are actually worse than job hopping, because job hopping statistically gives better raises than raises in wage pay than actually staying and getting natural raises. So you're basically spending endless hours to land a job that you plan on holding for like a year tops, and then switching jobs to a place that's going to hire you for more money because now you have job experience from the previous place. But that's what you got to do. I mean, like, I have a friend that is a coder. Like, he makes pretty good money, made pretty good money out of college doing coding. He's held 4 different jobs in 3 years. Not because he got fired, but because you hold that job, you start working, and then somebody comes out of the blue and goes, hey, we'll hire you for more money. And now you go, well, bye. And then you leave and do the same thing. So it's just always, people are constantly in training, and it's just terrible.
And can someone tell me why entry-level jobs be asking for experience?
Dude, you are the experience.
The damn job paradox. How am I meant to get experience if I need experience to get experience? And after making your resume, you have to go on like Indeed or something and just look for a job that doesn't look like modern day slavery.
I'm unemployed right now, but I'm about to work at this job.
Well, and the worst thing is low-level jobs are wanting experience, but those are also the jobs that have the worst churn rate. They lose people constantly for quitting, like Amazon. Amazon hires, fires, and has quitters every day. If you work at an Amazon warehouse, you're not gonna like get to know your coworkers. Some of them you might, but the odds are either you're quitting the job in 3 months or they're quitting the job in 3 months. Like, they don't plan on keeping you. You're probably gonna work it, you're gonna get fed up and quit one day, or they're gonna fire your ass because they change the rules constantly. Like, I watched this one YouTuber, Atrioc, who has a mod / like other streamer friend that works at Amazon, and he'll do like in-depth stories about how he hates working there, and he'll talk about how Amazon will change the rules for truck drivers like every week, given on specific scenarios they get in, where 1 week they had a rule that Amazon truck drivers in their area, in their department, at their facility, were not allowed to reverse unless it was an emergency. How are you supposed to deliver packages in a car without the ability to reverse your vehicle? And so they would have to call their supervisor and go, hey, I'm in a driveway, I need to back up. And they'd go, okay, you got to check your surroundings, blah, blah, blah. Like, no check your surroundings. Why are we treating them like they're toddlers?
Factory down the street, $6 an hour, full time.
$6 an hour.
And after shooting like 400 applications.
What state has the worst minimum wage? Obviously, minimum wage also coincides with like price of living. New Jersey, California, highly populated areas are going to have very high minimum wages. Like, I think New Jersey's is like 15 something, 15.49. So it's high, but like the cost of living in New Jersey is very high. What state has the lowest minimum wage? I mean, there's probably states that follow the federal minimum wage. This can't be real. Georgia, $5.15. That's not allowed. Isn't the federal minimum wage like $7? You can't go below that. $7.25. That's not real. It says Georgia, $5.15. There's no way. Well, I'm gonna Google what is Georgia's minimum wage. $7.25. Why does it say $5.15? That's a wrong website. So there's a lot of states that just default to the federal minimum, $7.25. That's so. Oh my God. If you have to work a minimum wage job in a state that has federal minimum wage, you could work an 8-hour shift and not have enough money pre-tax or post-tax to buy the new COD. You would work 8 hours, and how much money are you making? You're making like less than what, $64? You're making like 50 something, $56. That's so ass.
You settle for one interview, you got a McDonald's. And now the interview has to be the worst part, because you got to pull up in a suit and tie to an old block McDonald's.
Not eggs. Well, the price of eggs is something that people always use the price of eggs and milk to determine how the economy's going. I think that also varies on a lot of different factors to me personally, because yes, I buy milk and eggs, but I also am more in tune with steam prices. I don't buy eggs anymore, like ever. I buy egg whites, so I don't know the price of eggs. And I buy almond milk, so I don't know the price of dairy. Why? Because I don't want to drink milk and I don't like the cholesterol in eggs. So I like egg whites because they don't have cholesterol. You're a weirdo? Bro, that's not abnormal for me to just want egg whites.
Like a stand-up guy and try not to say some dumb.
I just graduated from home last year ago with my degree in walking fish with a minor in water in the snow because I mop air. I'm also a dentist that fixes feet at the vet when I'm wide asleep. So I think this job would be pretty good for my mom since she doesn't have kids.
And what I hate about interviews, bro, is that dumb question they always be asking.
Why do you want to work here?
Yeah, because it's always been my lifelong dream to work in your rundown McDonald's. No.
I can't eat. I'm broke.
And then you gotta lie and be like, I've always just really liked the fast food business. I've always wanted to get into the, art of flipping burgers and taking people's orders that, are really drunk or high at 3 a.m. and, possibly getting a DUI after they hit up this McDonald's.
Okay, I just seen some and it looks like it's not that hard to get a job anymore. Now hiring someone that doesn't goon during work.
All right, I never worked at a fast food place. So for the people that work or have worked at a fast food place, what is the best and worst position? I feel like I'd want to be flipping burgers. I feel like I'd rather be a chef than somebody that works at a drive-thru. Yeah, I'd rather be like I'd rather be like a cook, a cashier. Taking orders sounds worse than cooking. I feel like taking orders, it also goes by slower because when I watch those live streams of cooking at Wendy's and you know how people live stream it and they'll put a camera on their head and I'm like watching them package orders? I feel like that's like they get in a groove, They got Wu Wei going on. They're at peace, just fucking. Another one. I like just fuck it, and then the time flies by quicker.
Work hours. Who the fuck did they have hired before this?
The ghost of the goon! The ghost of the goon! Look at the car.
But if you have to or want to go through that whole process, yeah, good luck, gang. But one thing I want to say is please, and I really stress, please don't be that that thinks having a job makes them better or something. Bro, these archetypes who constantly complain about their jobs, yet be the first ones to tell you to go get
Well, no, it'll be like, it'll be, I have like union friends. It'll be the union friends. It's like the stereotype where you'll be like, yeah, I had a long work day, worked 40 hours this week. And they'll be like, 40 hours? I remember when I was a little boy, I worked 40 hours. I worked 65. You be working a 9 to 5. I've been working a 5 to 5, bitch. 6 days a week. 6 days a week. I only get off on federal holidays. I pick up extra hours. Sometimes they'll call me in at 3 in the morning. You see these hands? You see these hands? Real man hands.
a job when you're demonstrating some
Could I get a Miller Lite?
Unemployed behavior.
Could I get a Miller Lite?
You hating on happiness, bro. You hating ass niggas look like Squidward. You see, I've worked 2 jobs in my life. The first one, I worked as an underwater ceramics technician.
Underwater ceramics technician.
a dishwasher. I applied to be a dishwasher at Arby's, McDonald's, Boston Market. None of them wanted to hire my ass. And I remember reading the job interviews and they were asking for experience. And I was like, bro, why do I need experience to work at a fucking... I know how to wash dishes.
And the way I still have literal night.
Not a dishwasher at McDonald's. It was at, it was Wendy's. Was it Wendy's? No, it was Arby's, Boston Market, and some other fast food place.
Bears about that job. I want reparations for each of those shifts I worked.
I'm not even gonna lie. When I was applying for jobs, I wasn't even looking at the place of work. I remember applying to every job that I could, just spamming them out, copy and pasting, just being like, submit, submit, just like waiting for a response. And then none of them replied. And then I walked into a GNC and asked for a job. They gave me in.
All of the stress that has accumulated. Years, I'm telling you, years have been taken off my life from those dreams. I don't work there anymore. And I still dream about it.
What more do you want from me?
And in the periods that I've been unemployed, I just feel like I took advantage of it. You gotta cherish every single one of those moments, man, because I promise you, sooner or later, we'll all be gone. Just knowing you have to get.
GNC said yes because of your body. Yo, in part, probably. They're not allowed to discriminate in that sense, but who the f is going to buy supplements from somebody that looks out of shape? GNC is a supplement store. People go there to get in shape. They go there when they need multivitamins and protein and shit for working out. They're not going to hire somebody that looks, you know, like they don't work out.
Get up for a shift or you have a shift later in the day. It can kill the vibe of the whole day, I promise you. You can just be chilling. And the realization hits. But you know, somebody telling you to get a job, they might just be looking out for you. Okay, don't start sending images like this. Bro, you just lazy. And
well, I think there's a difference between people that are unemployed and actively searching for work versus somebody that's unemployed by choice. There's groups of people that just don't get jobs and live at their parents, but never search for jobs and just like kind of chill. And then there's people that are actively, you know, searching. I think there's a difference. It's the level of motivation. There's nothing wrong with being unemployed, but like look for a job.
And to all the unemployed out there, is the Minecraft movie really that funny? Yeah, he said chicken jockey in a funny way, but does it ever warrant this reaction?
Well, these are high schoolers, dude.
Gangy, is that a live chicken? Man, we were supposed to have flying cars by now. The unemployed have just had a field day with this damn movie, bro. And not to be the fun police or nothing, but imagine working at one of these cinemas and having to clean this up.
What do you think the average age is that somebody gets a job in the U.S.? I would guess like 17. Yes, the average person gets their first part-time job between 16 and 19. That varies by state, though, off of also how old you are allowed to be employed. Because some states you can have a job when you're like 14, and some you have to be like 16 or 17.
Yo, we gotta look out for all of the people that are stuck in the infinite job cycle. I promise you they don't wish for that life. So don't be the guy that chucks 3 buckets of popcorn and mysterious liquids all over the floor. Just for, you know, a little giggle.
How did he sneak a chicken into the Minecraft movie? Like an alive chicken.
You gotta look out for each other, man. The employed gotta look after the unemployed.
Under his shirt? That would be so obvious.
The unemployed gotta look after the employed. If we fail to do this, society will collapse as we know it. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there as you watch society fall? No, you're gonna get up, you're gonna stand up, and you're gonna fight for what you believe in. But do you really get what I'm trying to say though? We need the employed, but I don't want to be employed, so I'm gonna make it easier for them. The minority you just paid to deliver pizza to your address during a hurricane, tip them a little bit. Instead of telling the person that's making your food to just put the fries in the bag.
Yeah, dude. I am always somebody that says you have to tip your servers. And I'm also coming from a place, you know, where I make money and I'm able to do that. But at the same time, if you're going to pay a motherfucker to go, not even like waitressing. I understand waitressing. You should still pay your waiter or waitress. That's like up. I've always said, you know, 20% in the United States, you should tip. But if you're paying a motherfucker to drive 35 minutes to a place, pick up your food, bring it to your place, your apartment, your house, drop it off, and you hit him with a fat zero, and you're giving him basically $3 for a delivery fee, that don't even cover the gas that this motherfucker had to use to sometimes drive to and from your house. Or not to and from your house, to and to the fast food place and then to your house, and then to the next order. Like, that's just like asshole shit.
How about you give him some nice words? The employed?
Yeah, and motherfucker said it's their job. Yeah, it's their job, but like they're doing it because they want money. Like most of the time, bro, those people that are door dashing have a 9 to 5 and you're ordering shit to their house or to your house at 2 in the morning and this is their side hustle. They're working extra hours to try and make more money for themselves or their family. And you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna hit you with $3, bro.
The unemployed, united. But it's time to admit it. Being unemployed is not all sunshine and rainbows. Yes, I don't have the responsibility.
Why work if you won't get paid? It's a thing in the U.S. that, you know, you're going to get like, what, $4.20 an hour minimum wage for waitressing unless you don't get that much in tips, in which case they're required to pay you minimum wage. But they should make more than minimum wage, which is why you should tip. The argument that you shouldn't tip people because then if you don't tip, they're just going to make minimum wage is stupid, because now you're just forcing them to basically wait on people for whatever their state's minimum wage is. And to go like, okay, yeah, why work that job? Because they're doing it because there are people that do tip. If everybody didn't tip like the people that say, well, I don't feel the need to, then no one would ever want to deliver your fast food. And then you wouldn't be able to get your Domino's at 3 in the morning.
Ability of a job, but
I am so lonely.
Me aside.
Risky as hell, dude. He just hit his feet on that metal bar.
Me aside, don't trick yourself into believing you're not a fucking loser, okay? Because Googling top 5 side hustles to get rich quick is not being locked in. You know what? Let me stop being a hater. Because look, what you're doing is really smart, but it's also really dangerous because you're convincing yourself that you're not a loser, when in reality, yeah, you are. Alright, real quick, let me bring back this guy from the intro.
Well, I was going to say, too, one of the things that my friend does that I thought was originally stupid, but then looking back at it, I thought it was smart. He's getting a sports management degree, and he was applying for, like, accounting jobs. And they would give him interviews, and he would go to them. And I was like, you're never going to work here. He was like, yeah, but I don't care. I just need experience. And I said, for what? And he was like, just interviewing. He went to like 5 interviews for jobs he knows he didn't want just to fucking do them. Just to see the job interview and then get good at it for an actual interview. And, you know, on the off chance that he somehow got hired at a place, he said he would, you know, contemplate taking the job. But, you know, he was just interviewing.
Yeah, you are. Alright, real quick, let me bring back this guy from the intro.
I am a risk taker.
You mean you're a risk taker? You lose $50 a week off parlays. Let's keep it a buck. But there's really 2 types of unemployed people. The ones that gaslight themselves into believing they're onto something.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay. Do you have any businesses we could be looking?
That's usually a bad. The worst 3 jobs that my friends on dating apps that are streamers, that are like starting out streamers, I'm like, why don't you put that you're a streamer on your dating app? He's like, one of the worst things to say for like relationships when you're trying to appeal to somebody is that you do Twitch streaming, that you're an entrepreneur, or like mention at all that you do sports betting, because those 3 are like frowned upon in like actual job senses. Obviously sports betting should be more for fun than actually trying to make money. Yeah, or crypto. If you say that you're making money from crypto, sports betting, Twitch streaming, or like those things, people usually frown upon it.
Look out for?
No, just not right now.
And 2, the ones that are so far gone, they just fully embrace it and are damn near prideful about it. Okay, let me elaborate. The first type will happen for not wanting a job. Like they'll say, how are you gonna let someone define how much my hour is worth? Just say you lazy, bro. Here are some quick signs that you're this person. 1, if you ever refer to the government as Big Brother. 2, if you sign up to online courses instead of getting a job. And 3, if the word Matrix just unironically comes out of your mouth. But hey, maybe you got something going on that my mind-controlled slave.
I want to meet someone that bought Andrew Tate's $50 a month Discord. Like, I want to talk to somebody that actually attended Hustlers University and see their actual thoughts.
Okay, and for the second one, these people are just too far gone. Employment is nothing more than a nightmare to these people. The word job gives them physical pain. You tell these people to get a job and they'll have a visceral reaction. Peep the vocab. The only jobs these people want to be associated with involve feet. I gotta apologize to these people though for not involve feet.
Top 5 jobs to get in 2025. Hair jobs.
I gotta apologize to these people though for not censoring the word work and job.